Mhm. It's when you let your guard down. They that's strange. I mean, perhaps whatever's going to the stream is only picking up the audio coming through the call to you.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, I think we're gonna I don't know what to call it. OBS is telling me that it's picking up my sound now, so we should be okay. But okay, how are we there? Stream or chat or what have you? Okay, they can hear me now. Perfect. That was my fault. My apologies. It was not picking up my fancy Blue Yeti microphone. Let me try this again. Welcome to Bag of Giving. If it's your first time joining us, we are twice monthly actual play stream here. We have all of our tech issues worked out all the time. We are entirely professional. And we know exactly what we're doing. If this is not your first time watching, you at least recognize my voice, if not my face. My name is Brandon Crilly. I'm one of the co-founders and organizers of Bag of Giving here on Greg's channel, along with Mike Underwood, who may pop in at some point. What we do here at Bag of Giving is every month we bring together some creative types, mostly authors, to get together and play some games and roll some dice and go on some adventures and do a little bit of storytelling. This is actually a particularly special episode or a special night because this is our last game of the season. So it's not our last game forever. But our initial run that Mike and I came up with and scheduled back when we didn't know how many people were going to be on board for this. We basically scheduled it up to August, we have a bunch of people that want to play, and we hope you folks are enjoying yourselves. So we will be back for another season in probably a couple of months. And I'll talk a little bit more about that after the break. But yeah, so this is our last one for at least a couple of months, which makes it pretty cool. And I'm very excited that I get to play with the awesome people that are here with me today. Before I turn it over to Christiana to jump us into Ironsworn Starforge, I'm going to talk about our giveaways. So what we do here at Bag of Giving is we don't just get together and have fun and play games. We also spotlight specific, typically local charities that support causes that we believe in and which we think deserve a little bit of a boost. Our charity of focus for the past couple of months has been NNAF. Or they're known as Abortion Funds on Twitter. They're an organization that helps promote and support access to abortions and reproductive rights and so forth in the United States, which, as I think we're all familiar with now, is a bit of an issue down there these days. So typically what we do every month is we ask for donations to enter our giveaways for like a whole host of stuff that is up on our website, books and games and whatnot, that have been donated by some of our players and by friends of the stream. But I'm feeling generous and have gone off the rails a little bit. Mike didn't even know I was going to do this, so I hope it's okay, Mike. But what I've decided to do, because this is our last game of the season, is I'm giving something away, several somethings, just for fun. So no donation required for this giveaway. We're sitting on a bunch of books and I want to give them away. And specifically, I wanted to do it tonight for you folks in the stream who have supported us and been coming up and watching us play all this time. So there are three ways, so I'll tell you the prizes first. So I've got 3 books here on my desk. One is tomorrow on Revelation 3, which is a indie tabletop RPG that was written by two friends of the con, friends of the con, switching grades, friends of the stream, CJ Linton and Dominique Dickey, who wrote this. So I have a copy of this that I want to give away today if we can. I have a copy of the recently Aurora Award winning novella, The Annual Migration of Clouds by Premi Mohammed, which won Canada's big science fiction, fantasy, and horror award, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. It's an amazing book. So I have that by Premi, which I want to give away. And just to add to the mix, because I will have them on hand very soon, I threw in a copy of my book, which isn't even out yet. Can't get it. Doesn't come out till October. But I've got copies here, so I threw that in. So that's 3 books that I want to give away. There are 3 ways that you can enter to win these books tonight. First way is already posted on Twitter, so for those of you that are on Twitter, if you're not already following us, go and do that. And I've put a tweet there with some of our Spotlight charities. If you go and retweet that, bam, you're entered into the giveaway for tonight. 2 other ways that you can enter, just for you folks here in the chat for coming out and watching us, and I'll remind you throughout. And I've put a couple of keywords on the stream. I don't know why I'm pointing at my screen. You can't see where I'm pointing. But I've put a couple of keywords up. What I want you to do is type in the chat with the word fave, F-A-V-E, and tell us what your favorite game that you have seen us play since we started doing this back in November. Which one's your favorite? Which one was your favorite? Which one did you enjoy? Type it in the chat. Let us know for reasons that might be useful for next season. And that'll be enough to enter you. That'll be one way that you can enter the giveaway. And or you can type in the chat with the word new, N-E-W, and suggest a game that we did not do this season that you would really love to see played next season. We're open to suggestions. There's a ton of games out there that Mike and I don't necessarily hear about, so you can do that as well. So type either or both of those into the chat. I will count each one as an entry into the giveaway. You can do it on Twitter, so that's 3 entries up for grabs. And I want to give these books away, so that's what we're going to do. I'll remind people of that in the chat as we go through. But yeah, without further ado, that's enough babbling from me. I'm going to turn things over to our lovely GM so we can dive into this game.
All right, my turn then, I guess, huh?
That's you.
All right. So, hello everyone. I'm Christiana Ellis, and tonight we are playing Ironsworn Starforged, the science fiction spin-off version edition of a game called Ironsworn that takes place in a distant star system known as the Forge. Humanity had to leave our own galaxy behind due to a cataclysmic sun plague that started making stars just go out, and we had no idea what to do but to flee to a globular cluster known as the Forge over many generations with generation ships. But that's in the past. We have found a new home here in the Forge, although it's still a dangerous one. And so we are going to begin our story in the Vanguard Maw sector. And in particular, as we zoom in to this sector, we find a hypergiant star by the name of Typhon that creates powerful and turbulent solar winds around it at all times. And this makes it very hazardous to be around. And so that is why the brave scientists, engineers, and researchers at Lagrange Station Delta are there to study it, and that's pretty much the only reason that anyone would be at this place. But we find ourselves soaring in towards Lagrange Station Delta. This is a ramshackle operation. Once a fairly basic space station, it has been expanded on by the engineers and scientists who live there, but it's still only big enough for a few dozen permanent residents. But as we make our way into Lagrange Station Delta, we see a docking bay where there is a ship. And we are going to begin our game tonight by collectively deciding, what's your ship like, y'all? So there are a couple of ways that we can do this. The first thing that obviously, one thing that needs to be established is the name of your ship. But also, we need to know a little bit more about what it's like. And so what I'm going to suggest is that each of you is going to start by giving a detail to the ship, something about the ship that is true. And if you have trouble thinking of something, one of the great things about this game is that it has a whole bunch of tables called oracles that have just suggestions, and you can actually use these oracles to play this game solo if you want, and it's a lot of fun to do that. But just mentioning it because there are actually a number of different oracles that you could use to offer some suggestions about what your ship might be like. So if that is something that you are having trouble thinking about, we have a history table that's on page 108 and some details about the ship on 109. So if you feel like you have your own suggestion, feel free to name it. Otherwise, you can choose something from the table or even roll randomly. But we need an envision the starship detail from each of you.
All right, I go first. The starship has an interdisciplinary research lab capable of studying things ranging from exobiology to weird like physics that they might find, just because you never know what you're going to find out here, and got to be prepared for it to encounter the unknown.
I like that exobiology lab. Okay.
Oh, and with that, I'm going to run grab my pizza.
Do it.
While Darcie goes to grab her pizza, I have a suggestion.
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
This ship has seen a number of different purposes over the years, and it could have been used occasionally to engage in perhaps the gray market. So there are lots of additional storage compartments in places you wouldn't expect.
All right.
I like it.
Hidden smuggling compartments.
I love it. I think I'm trying to think of my character's relationship with this ship and being a gearhead. I think he would have done a little bit of tinkering, a little bit of poking at it as soon as it came into our possession, and so if possible, I think it's probably a little jerry-rigged, maybe not 100%, up to spec, but I think can we have the equivalent of like a quick boost for the engine, like he's got a control in the car, like.
Well, what we're looking for here are
Or is this
things that are
aesthetics?
not going to provide mechanical
Ah,
benefits.
so
This
okay.
is flavor, because it is one of the things that you can choose when you set up your character to give, for
Okay,
example,
then
an
ignore me. Then I'm going to go with my
engine
second idea, which was
Sorry.
racing stripes.
boost. All right, racing stripes.
Yeah, he's painted stripes all over the ship.
I think it is perfectly appropriate for your character to think that gives the ship a speed boost.
Absolutely.
Big question: what color? What
Oh.
color are stripes?
Purple, gold, crimson, and green.
I love it.
Classy.
So what's the base color? What are those stripes over?
I kind of figured it was like purple, red. Like, he's not an artist.
It is an exciting spectrum of colors. All right, one more detail, Emily.
The engine room is covered in scorch marks. It looks like at one point one of the prior engine rooms had an incident, which is not spoken of. And the details are left to the imagination. However, there's plenty of evidence in that the bulkheads have been scoured down, and no amount of scrubbing will get rid of the burns from the inside of the engine room.
I like that. It's, when you went to buy this ship and you saw the ship max report, it reported one significant accident and had no other details. That's great. So we have those details, and now together we need to give the starship a history in the sense of just the basic high-level summary of what was this ship before you had it. And so there is, once again, a table there with ideas, but I think that this should be something that you all choose together. Any ideas?
I have one, but it's very weird.
Oh, do it.
Yeah.
Like weird.
Okay, in this, how about this? In one of this ship's former lives, because it's had many, and it's probably got band-aids holding parts of it together as well. It was a mobile zoo.
Oh, that would be cool.
Well,
So where would they put so there were rooms where they put like aliens in like jars and stuff?
I was thinking
Wow.
like animals from the old homeworld that was lost. Because
Ah,
we still have livestock and things like that were brought over. So there could have been cows in one hangar, one cabin,
Well, so is this a very big ship? Does it have a lot of cargo space where large amounts of big animals would have been?
It could be.
Well, that's why I'm
Or
asking.
they have,
Because it
well,
could
it
be
was,
a zoo that had exclusively small guinea pig sized animals,
I love
like it. Well, I'm just tossing out details. This is for all of you to decide.
I mean, I think it would be cute to have like a zoo for like rats and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
All
And
right.
and the only space-based flea circus.
Well,
Oh,
so perhaps one of the things. So, just as a way of interpreting that, let me know if this isn't what you have in mind. But I'm suddenly envisioning that you've got the cargo bay, but all of the walls of the cargo bay are lined with these special little aquarium habitats that have their own life support setups, so that you can manipulate each little one. Each little tank independently. Like this one needs slightly more oxygen, that one needs higher temperature, etc.
I love it.
Okay, great.
I'm writing all this down because this could be fodder for ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what I would invite you to do here is, well, actually, yeah, never mind. You can we just keep that in your own notes. But the last thing that we need to decide there is what's the name of this ship? And there is, as there are with just about everything in this game, there is a table of suggestions, but feel free to, either pick at random or choose your, individually, or just come up with whatever you would like.
maybe it can be named after an animal, like to
Yeah.
kind of honor its former history. But which one?
First one I thought of was a platypus. I'm not saying that should be the name.
I'm voting for platypus.
Platypus.
Okay, the platypus.
Yeah.
Is that agreed consensus then?
I see nods. Emily?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So, what I would like each of us to do now, first of all, it's I guess we haven't had specific introductions, so perhaps what each of us can do is, or each of you as players, is briefly introduce yourself, then describe your character by explaining what they spent the evening doing on this tiny ramshackle research station. Your ship is currently getting some minor repairs done, and you had to stay overnight. What did you do to pass the time last night? So describe your character physically, and then say what they did.
All right, who's going first?
I can call on you if you like. You can roll a d4.
Quality for take the side.
All right, well, then that means that Darcie is first.
I spoke first. I deserve this. No, actually, I spoke second. So.
Well, I rolled the die. It was
Yes.
the fates that
Fates decided. I'm Darcie Little Badger, and I'm a writer of fantasy, science fiction, books, short stories, comics. I have two books out currently, Elatsoe and The Snake Falls to Earth, and The Snake Falls to Earth won the Nebula, which is right there in my screen. And it's really great to RP with everyone tonight. One reason I've done, this is my third game with y'all, and one reason I've done so many is it's just always like so fun just to hang out with other creative people and invent worlds together, play games together. So my character, Una, or Dr. Worm, it's her call sign, spent the night in her lab muttering to herself, and she is a very thin, very like pale 40-something-year-old woman, rarely caught, in anything other than like the type of jumpsuit that Michael Myers wears, in the horror movies. So one of those very practical jumpsuits. Her hair is cut short and usually slicked back. And one notable feature about her is that her skin has like these varicose vein looking, I guess they look like varicose veins, but they're darker, they're black, and some of those are in like clusters. And over time, they have seemed to like multiply across her body. And it's possibly because she has a symbiote named Pedro living inside of her. So she wasn't actually talking to herself, she was talking to Pedro.
So was that how she spent the evening? Was just kind of standing in the corner having an apparent conversation with herself?
Well, sitting at a desk. They were kind of discussing the practical implications for exposing symbiotes to different types of species, Earth species. Too bad this isn't still a zoo. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I think in your head, Pedro, there do not seem to be many animal species to be found on this station. We should go somewhere where the biosphere is more diverse.
I tend to agree, but we do have some human colleagues. I'm only joking. She would never.
All right. Next. Darcie again. No, see, that's what happens when you roll a d4. That would be Brandon next.
All right. I kind of introduced myself at the start, but I'm Brandon Crilly. I'm an Ottawa-based. Wait, am I introducing myself? Yes, play as the player. Brandon Crilly. I'm an Ottawa-based writer. I already mentioned my book that's coming out, so you folks know enough about me already. My character is Corin Trill, who is the pilot of our plucky platypus spaceship. He is a kind of like mid-20s dude, lanky, stoop shoulder. He's got kind of shaggy blonde hair and wire-frame glasses. He is typically wearing this very battered leather vest and no shirt underneath. And so probably one of the first things that anyone notices about him is he's got this array of kind of pinpoint scars across his middle, around his diaphragm, which all of his crewmates know is from a shuttle accident that was totally not his fault. Nothing to do with him. So you've got a very casual sort of look about him. And what he would have been doing last night was he actually knows a few of the researchers here on the station because he has freelanced for them in the past, piloting a shuttle pod kind of along the solar winds that they study here. And so since there's no missions going on at the moment, so he would have spent part of the night challenging the researchers to races up and down the halls. And every time he lost, challenging them again. Until eventually he beat most of them, but not all of them.
Very nice. All right. Next, Emily.
All right. My name is Emily Dare. I'm a Bay Area writer, and I am playing Parker Slayton, call sign Phantom, not because they're particularly cool, but because they're really hard to find when you need them. And what they are somewhat emaciated, like perpetually young person with very close cropped green hair, and I think the most noteworthy thing about them is that they have visible implantation and surgical alteration, which has left a few basically like circuitry and cybernetic implants in their head. And they would have been found last night polishing their exosuit and cleaning their exosuit. Because while their coveralls always seem covered in grease, they try very hard to keep their exosuit pristine.
Yeah. So one note, just as far as everybody should know with the world building, all of you, every person who lives in space like this has their own environment suit that lets you withstand vacuum and the basic rigors of space, allows you to survive were there to be a hull breach or something like that. But your exosuit is no mere spacesuit. Oh no, tell us what it looks like.
It is a very large, I'm thinking probably around 8 feet tall, sort of well scaled down mech, right? Like it's a very large, sort of mechanically assisted suit that has obviously, like it's obviously seen it's more than its fair share of wear and tear. Very Spartan as far as decorations go, with the exception that there has been a smiley face painted on the otherwise expressionless sort of like dome head, which is how the exosuit got its nickname of Happy. Yeah, it looks like a sort of thing that you would find like deep in a mine or exploring at the bottom of a like the ocean or something, just sort of hulking in one of the landing bays, where at the docking bays, where they will go ahead and work on it, or they will. Because sometimes when people are too loud, they'll just go ahead and sleep in the exosuit.
Very nice. So last but not least, Geoff.
Oh, thank you. Hi, my name's Geoff Gander. I am an Ottawa area writer of science fiction and horror, and Brandon and I have rubbed shoulders a number of times at various conventions, so unfortunately he already knows me. My other hat that I wear is a writer of role-playing game products. I freelance for Fat Goblin Games, where I do Tiny D6 and D&D 5e, and also Sentinel Hill Press, where I write Call of Cthulhu. But all that aside, the more interesting thing tonight is my character, Trish Skarsgård. She is the loadmaster for the platypus, and at a first glance, she seems to wear very nondescript but well-tailored and well-made coveralls. And the other thing that you notice is that she's got pockets everywhere, on her sleeves, on her breast, at her hips, on the thighs, all with zip enclosures and everything. And some of them bulge a little bit suspiciously in various areas, but you're not quite sure what she's got there. She's about average height, very pale, doesn't look like she goes outside very much at all. Very watchful expression in her gray eyes, and she's got short brown hair. And she's always looking around, always looking at things. And she always seems to have something in her hand, whether it's playing a deck of cards with some other people at the station, or with some money in her hands when Corin was running up and down with the other researchers that one night, and she decided to place a few bets and made a little bit of money on them. She didn't tell him that, of course.
Wait, I don't get a cut?
Sorry?
I don't get a cut?
No, you don't get a cut. Sorry.
Dang it.
So, there has been a little bit of stress on all your minds as you spent this evening, because without going into detail, your last mission got a little bumpy, and you're basically, you've got the ship with the local shipwright here. You're kind of just waiting for the butcher's bill, so to speak, to find out what you're going to be owing in order to get the appropriate repairs done. But as you are kind of reporting to your ship is docked with the station, and it's got a little bit of a dry dock type of scenario here. As you're reporting to the office of the shipwright here named Cassidy Wolf, she seems to be speaking animatedly and in an upset demeanor with a man who is wearing all sorts of just beads everywhere. There's just about every possible way a person could have a bead on them. This person does. Beard, hair, clothes, everywhere, beads. But she seems to be upset not with this person, but by some news that she has received. And as soon as you're together starting to kind of wander in, she spots you and Corin, because she knows you, and hurries over and says, Corin, I don't suppose that I could get a favor from you and your crew? I'm in a little bit of a pickle here.
Cass, how many times have we done favors for each other? In fact, I'm pretty sure I owe you a couple already. Just lay it on.
Well, here's the situation. My son was supposed to be on his way with part of a cargo shipment coming from Rampart's Landing over in Osseous, and he's overdue. And now, normally I wouldn't necessarily worry, but you see, Captain Braddock here says that Quinn left before they did and was supposed to be coming right here. So I don't know why they wouldn't be here unless something happened. And so I wonder if I could ask you and your crew to maybe fly on over to the Prism system and kind of look for him and make sure he's okay.
Do I know offhand how far away the system is?
It's not far. You do have to take a drift, an Eidolon drift. Okay. So it's a drive, so to speak.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not really far. It's not weeks. It's
okay.
It's a day to get there.
Okay.
It is if we perhaps were able to look at the map of the sector here,
which
we would find. Yes. So this is the main screen here. Let's see. Make sure you have the.
I think I've got the right one.
This is not one of the handouts. This is just the basic main screen, and so you can see up in the upper right, there's Lagrange Station Delta around Typhon, but she is asking you to go to the Prism system.
Gotcha.
And Ossium is one of the planets around that system, and it's where he was supposed to have departed from.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll have to clear it with my lovely crewmates. I would love to just do it for you as a favor. They might want, I don't know, a little covering of costs. They might. I wouldn't.
Oh, well, yeah, I would be happy to have all of the repairs that I have done for you overnight be on the house. You do this favor for me.
This is why you're the best, Cass. You are the absolute best. I don't care what anybody said about you last night. You're the absolute best. I'll go just make sure it's all copacetic with my crew, but I think we're your team.
Good.
Anything we should know about your kid or the ship or anything else that?
Oh well, I mean, whatever questions you've got, I'll give you his emergency transponder. So once you get in the system, you should be able to to look for that, and if the ship's in distress or anything, you should be able to track that beacon.
Okay, perfect. Is everybody else within?
Well, I think that I was assuming you kind of all came in together, but
Perfect.
you tell me if the others would have come in with you. It was you that she called out to because she knows you.
Okay, cool. If not, I'll just kind of whistle and be like, okay, quick. We've got work.
Paying work?
I mean, the sort of work where we get our repairs for free.
Indirect payment, then, Trish says. All right, well, you know what? I've already blown all my cash playing cards with all the roughnecks up here, so I'm happy to hop on ship.
Yeah, Una would glance down at this little palm-sized computer that she often carries around and notes the numbers and says, yeah, we got nothing better to do for the next 40 some hours. What do you think, Pedro?
Well, if we are going to somewhere there's a lot more life.
It's a prison system, but I assume
Well,
we'll stay in the ship.
Prism is the
Prism.
yeah. So to be clear, the name of the star of the system you're going to is Prism, as in like rainbow, not prison. To be clear,
I was like thinking, wow, it's a whole system filled with prisons.
Yeah.
That's a little bit questionable there.
Yes. So glad I was able to clear that up then.
Okay, thank you. Actually, so what does Una know about the Prism system specifically?
Well, it is actually a system that has more life than you might even normally expect from a white dwarf. It's a white dwarf that has a strange kind of spectral sheen to it that is being studied by some, but not fully understood. But there are 2 planets around Prism. One is Ossium, and it is where there's a large settlement called Rampart Landing. And that is what's known as a vital world, meaning it has multiple biospheres, lots of living things there. But also it all has some evidence of very large living things that were once living and are not anymore. So that's something that a lot of people study there. But there is also a gas giant called the Pearl, because of the way it sort of fluoresces and has kind of an iridescence in the light of Prism. And there are reputed to be life forms that live within some of the atmospheric layers of the Pearl, but those are less well understood.
Well, then she would say it's teeming with them. And of course, that has no bearing on Una's decision to help somebody out. You know, she's doing this out of the goodness of her heart.
Of course. Darcie, can anybody else hear Pedro, or is it just you?
Oh, just me.
Okay.
For the time being. Okay. But you are aware that Pedro exists.
Oh yeah, no, I figured that. Yeah, no, yeah.
Let's do this Venom thing where like there's trying
nobody else knows.
Pedro. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking that like you've noticed that Corin, again, like every time you say something like, "Oh, like you're clearly talking to Pedro," you can notice him lean in just ever so slightly, just trying to see if he can catch anything. Damn.
Maybe someday I'll hear the whispers coming from her.
So if you are accepting this commission, Cassidy comes over to speak with the group and just says, all right, I'm really grateful to y'all, but this is something that, like, this is my son we're talking about, and although I certainly know Corin, and this is not about, like, me not trusting y'all, but, you know, this is really important to me, and I can't go myself right now, so I'm going to ask, if I might, for y'all to swear an iron vow. Now, for a little context in the world building here, the generation ships that brought humanity from the Milky Way galaxy to the Forge are long since dismantled. But there has become kind of a almost mystical superstition built up around fragments of it. And many people who are freelance operators the way you are will swear on them. Swearing an iron vow is how it's known, and this is something that is understood to be a solemn oath, which does not mean that it can't be broken, but that it is nonetheless a serious thing.
I mean, Cass, you and I go way back. I'll swear an iron vow, no problem.
She looks to the rest of you just to see if this is a group vow or if
I'm happy to take it on myself.
Oh, Trish will swear an iron vow as well, also because, well, she trusts Corin because she did make a bit of money off of it last night. So, I mean, it's where he goes, she goes, because, you know, he's an easygoing guy, and his ship's kind of fun to be on. So she'll swear as well.
Very nice. So this is going to bring us to our first roll of tonight's game.
Exciting.
And the move is going to be swear an iron vow. But because you're doing this as a group, the way that that works in this game is that one person is going to make the roll, and that will be how that works. So if we pull up, sorry, I'm just getting my own notes here. So when you swear upon iron to complete a quest, you're going to write your vow and then give it a rank. And in this context, the rank is going to be dangerous, which is rank 2 of 5. And then one of you, whoever you choose, is going to roll plus heart. But if you are swearing this vow to a connection, which you are, you add plus 1. If you share a bond, you add plus 2. But, I mean, Cassidy thinks you're really nice and all, but you're not quite there yet.
That's right.
So in this context, what that means is that whoever actually makes the move, you're going to roll. You can roll it either from the swear an iron vow move, or you can just roll plus heart, and then you're going to add a plus 1 to it. And so this is going to basically say how well do you get when you as you begin this quest, how well does it go just right off the bat?
All right, cool.
So who would you like to have roll it? I think I recall during character creation, none of you chose heart as your best stat. So
Yeah, not so much. What is my?
We're a pretty mercenary bunch, I think.
I mean, my heart's a 2. My heart's it's not bad.
Okay.
Same. So
Also a 2.
Okay.
We're all midway
Yeah.
heart.
We're so. I mean, I'm happy to, since I'm the one that knows cast. But if someone else wants to take it,
Don't look at me. I've got a 1.
Oh no.
She's a pragmatist at heart.
oh, I see. Hence the bets.
okay, so
All right,
looks like it's you.
all right, I'll go ahead. You said a
All right.
plus 1 modifier, Christiana?
yes. So when you do the swear an iron vow, you're going to add a 1 modifier.
Okay.
Okay, look at that. So you got a strong hit.
Not bad.
That's great. That's good news for you, because if I had not actually stayed on the page where it gave me all this information. Sorry, one moment. I'm scrolling through PDFs as we speak.
No worries.
Okay, there we go. So, on a strong hit, you are emboldened,
Nice.
and it is clear what you must do next. Take plus 2 momentum, and that is only for Corin, because he's the one that actually made the roll.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you can add 2 to your momentum track.
Cool. Done.
And so this is straightforward, at least to begin. You have received the transponder coordinates for the Terrapin, which is Quinn Wolf's ship.
Okay.
You can, before you leave, you can ask a few more questions if you have them. But what you know is the next step is that you're going to set a course to the Prism system, and then you're going to open up your frequencies and look for that transponder code.
I do have a question, Christiana. Given Trish's connections with not quite underworld, but we'll say midworld, in that,
Sure.
would she be able to get some intel on recent activity by space pirates and the like in the area?
Yeah, let's call that a gather information roll.
Okay.
And I believe that you have, let's see. Yeah, you don't have a special asset for that or anything, but you can certainly make the roll.
I will do that.
All right.
And no modifier, so it's a straight roll.
Correct.
All right.
Okay,
Yes.
so so you got a miss with a match, and what with the match means is that you get the miss, but it's also a little bit uh, more notable, like it's more significant somehow. And so I know exactly what that means for you.
Okay.
Oh,
The thing that you maybe haven't, been completely upfront about with everyone is that Prism System is not only a place where drift pirates operate out of an asteroid-based orbital settlement called Divers Depot, but also those drift pirates do have some connections to certain people who might be, looking for you.
Okay. So after getting the information, um, yeah,
Um,
guys,
what I'm going to suggest also is that this is a sufficiently disturbing development that so you, because this is a miss on this roll, there is a pay the price move, and I think in this context maybe this is just stressful, right? So what I'm going to
Okay.
suggest is that you are going to take one spirit harm, which is just representing your sort of psychological state, but that you are now going to do the move endure stress.
Okay.
And the way that works, I'm just pulling up my own thing here so I have this is a quicker reference that I'll
We're in
have in a
trouble
moment.
already.
Yeah, so what endure stress basically just means is that you can take that point of spirit harm and just be done. But if
Okay.
you kind of feel like, no, I want to kind of try to resist that, you can basically do this endure harm or endure stress move. And so it's possible you might be able to sort of, avoid taking that harm, but it's also possible it might be worse. So would you like to try to resist this point of stress?
Yeah, I think I will because we're just starting out in the mission, and I don't want to choke on this at
Mhm.
all. So endure stress. So I'm just
Right.
trying to find my screen because I've got a whole bunch of other little windows here.
Yeah. So the basic idea here then is you are going to be rolling either plus spirit or plus heart. And because your spirit is going to be 4, even with having taken that point. So that's probably still higher than your heart score. So you're going to roll plus spirit to see how well you withstand this shocking realization.
So you said it's I've lost a point of spirit. You said just so
Yeah, so you take your spirit. So at the very top of your sheet, you're going to
Mhm.
take your spirit and change it to +4.
Right.
And then you can actually just click on spirit and it'll do a spirit roll.
All right. Let's see what happens. Ooh,
Okay, look
nice.
at that. So on a strong hit, that means you can choose to either shake it off, you don't take that spirit, you get it back, you're back up to full. Or you can embrace the darkness, which is you let that point of spirit go for now, but you gain +1 momentum instead.
I'm going to take the point of momentum.
Okay, so you can put your momentum up by 1, but you are down by 1 in your current spirit score. And I think that, up to you, of course, but I would suggest that probably means you're going to let this stress motivate you.
Oh yes, it will. And I think given what she's learned, she will tell her associates. Well, I've totally been upfront about my past. My parents are part of a criminal enterprise called Golden Wave, and they kind of finance some pirates occasionally. And I kind of ran away a little while ago and with some stuff. And there's a chance they might know I was here and I might be flying around the area. I'm really sorry in advance. I thought I could stay below the radar and all that, but I think it's probably a good idea. I just lay my cards out on the table, but I'm sorry. Sorry. Really sorry.
So you're telling me that you stole from criminals who are also your parents?
Yes, but the thing is, they stole the stuff from precursor ruins and were trying to sell it off as medical products. So technically, I didn't. If he steals something from a thief, is it actually theft, really? Especially because they gave it to authorities to use for the benefit of the people. I personally, I don't think it's theft, really. That's how I see it, anyway.
I mean, I've heard worse relationships between children and parents. As far as I'm concerned, you're all right.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Pedro says, I disintegrated my parents and used them for sustenance.
And Una is not going to pass that along to her friends, but you might see a slightly startled reaction at that, and then she'd make a note in her tablet.
That Trish will pat Corin on the shoulder and say, and by the way, Corin, once this mission is over, if you want to get into some more, lucrative commodities, I could probably hook us up with some.
Trish, you just told me you're a pirate, and then you said basically that you're Robin Hood, but you're not, and I mean, yes, obviously, but I need to process a little bit first.
On your side, really. I'm
Right,
on your side.
Okay.
At the moment.
Thank you, Parker.
All right, so you have sworn this vow. Cassidy is solemnly approving in witnessing this ceremony. I would actually like to ask you, what does this look like to the bystanders as you perform this ceremony where collectively you're swearing this vow? What does that look like to the people watching?
Oh, that's a good question.
Everyone want to put their hand in
I was
a
just
circle?
thinking, yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Although Una can only swear for herself, she does take the vow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same thing. Hands in.
Yeah.
Ends it. Yeah.
So you're all swearing on a piece of one of the generation ships. What does it look like? Could just be just a slag, lump of metal, but could be something else.
Mine it's on a just like a leather bracelet around my wrist. Very, very small. It looks like it's kind of rough. It's kind of roughly an octagon, but so it's like probably a piece that was trying to hammer into a specific shape, but it's just a little one on his wrist.
I mean, maybe we can all just put our hands on your wrist then.
I mean, I'm cool with that if you are.
Works for me.
Done.
2, 1.
Go team. Go
You
team.
all jump into the air and freeze frame as you high five around the bracelet. So the Cassidy is satisfied by this vow and says, if you have any more questions, but otherwise, I'm a little worried. So, perhaps, your ship's good to go. So don't worry about that. But, I'm kind of just eager for you to get a move on. I hope that doesn't sound rude or impatient, but my son's out there. I hope he's not in trouble.
Yeah, no, I mean, the fact that your son has you is phenomenal. You're the only person I've met who has family that's actually strong. So let's see if we can keep that together.
So I hadn't described her physically, but she is got a lot of tattoos.
Nice.
And she is just very scruffy in her general demeanor. She doesn't look like she styles her hair, at all. And generally has a grease smudge on some part of her face at all times. But as you say that, she just gets a little teary-eyed.
Can I ask one last question before we leave?
Well, sure.
Yeah, Una would just kind of slide up next to her and ask, is there any reason you think he might be in trouble beyond his disappearance? Did you receive any unusual calls from him?
Well, I mean, nothing that seemed out of the ordinary. I mean, I was expecting him to show up, and I honestly might not have even been worried at all, except for the fact that Captain Braddock said that they left before, and they should have been here by now if that's when they left. I mean, he was delivering cargo here. He was bringing us some big harpoon guns that we use, to put something out in the solar winds of Typhon, so and then we could pull it back. It doesn't have to, be powered. But I mean, I'll be honest. We would like those harpoon guns, but I'd rather have my son. So like, if you get the son and harpoon guns, great. I'll be satisfied with just getting Quinn.
Interesting.
We'll prioritize your son.
Yeah.
Yeah. So technically, your vow was just for well. So here's actually something we need to do. So we have this shared sheet here in Roll20, and there is a vows tab there, and this is where we're going to put your vow. So we need to add one, and anyone can do this, but you need to decide what is the actual. What did you swear? And so this is a dangerous one, and you just need to type in there, like, what have you sworn to do?
I mean, bring back her son.
Well, maybe like to the best of our abilities.
Well, that's generally understood.
Or
Okay.
all right, so bring back.
So bearing in mind that in this setting, an iron vow is a serious thing. But it happens sometimes that you can't, through no fault of your own, you might become unable to fulfill a vow that you have sworn through no fault of your own, right? That can happen. And that can be a stressful thing that might have some sort of a cost personally. It might disappoint people that are connected to you, but it's not like your brain explodes or something.
Right.
That would suck.
So the idea that to the best of your ability is basically, that's understood as part of the vow.
Okay. All right, cool. So if I put like just to bring back Cass's son, is that that's not good?
All right.
How do I do that?
Well, you've got it. I see it.
It's in there?
On
Okay,
there. It's good. You're
Cool.
good. So what this is going to be is we have a progress bar for that. And so as you achieve certain milestones in the process, we're going to be filling in boxes of the progress bar.
Nice.
And so what that means is that in theory, at any time, you can choose to say, I think we're done, right? But if you have not filled up enough of the progress bar, your odds of actually being done are low, right? And so you might not succeed in your roll. But theoretically, what happens when you do a progress roll is instead of rolling the action die, your D6, and having a stat, the number of boxes you have in the progress bar is the action score, and you're rolling against the challenge dice, right? So there's 10 total boxes. If you fill it up all the way, you're pretty much, the only way you could possibly fail is if both challenge dice ended up being 10, right? But if you roll at a 6, that means that if either of the challenge dice are above a 6, then something complicates it, right? So the goal is to have it be as full as possible. And in this context, you know what that will mean. But we're going to have various stages here where you'll reach milestones and mark progress. But in the meantime, if you had any other questions, you could ask them. Otherwise, it's time to get underway.
Great.
Cool. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So we imagine that Corin sits in the cockpit to pilot the platypus. Do each of you have your own sort of battle station? Like, where do you sit when you're en route?
Well, Una wants to sit probably in the back of wherever people are gathered. Just gives her a good view of everyone, because she can't help much with navigation and piloting. But it's interesting to watch people function especially under conditions of stress. So yeah, maybe put her seat where she's perched is near the back with her back against whatever wall. I assume that maybe the cockpit, is it large enough for everyone, or would they be
Well,
like?
I think that's something that we can kind of maybe talk about here. It's like this might be a Millennium Falcon type situation where, in
Yeah.
theory, there are multiple seats there in the cockpit. Everybody could sit up there if you want, but there's also other places you could be. As established, there's the cargo bay, there's the research lab, like there's the vehicle bay where the exosuit Happy is docked. So like that's what I'm saying, is that you could be in the cockpit, but you could also be somewhere else.
Oh yeah, if the hotshot pilot would allow it.
I more than well.
She loves to observe. All right. It's not like she's going to be talking to you. No, that none of that. She's just going to be sitting there quietly.
Yeah, I definitely think that Parker posts up in the exosuit and, via comlink and everything is connected to everybody else, but still, it's like, it's a safe place.
Right. How about Trish?
Trish, there's probably another seat in the cockpit area, but obviously behind Corin's. And maybe in addition to a station that would oversee the cargo bay, and maybe it oversees the airlocks or things like that. It's like some basic support system. She's not an engineer, but she can monitor that sort of thing. And maybe passive sensors as opposed to active stuff. So she would probably be off to the side, facing the side.
All right. So the time has come then to get underway. And because this is a charted drift passage, you can see on the map indicated by our little wavy red line here, there is a charted drift between Typhon and Prism. And so there is no need to chart a new course here. This is a known pathway. So the move, instead of undertake an expedition, is set a course.
Okay.
And it seems as though that would likely be Corin's move.
Okay.
And so set a course is actually rolled with supply rather than any of your other stats, because the assumption is this is a known path, and if you're well equipped, you should be fine.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I can spend some of my supply, or no, I don't need to?
No. You basically, where you can see the word supply at the top of your sheet, you click that, and it means that you're rolling +5.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. And what that means, though, is that, like, if, for example, you end up losing a lot of supplies and your supply isn't as good, then even a reliable pathway might not always be safe.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll do that. So set a course.
Yep. Okay, so in this context, you got a 6, which is actually only a 1 on your action die, so it's the lowest you could have gotten in this circumstance. But one of the challenge dice was a 10, which means it's a weak hit. And all that means is that for set a course on a weak hit, you arrive but face a cost or complication, and you need to choose one. Either you suffer some costs en route, which is going to need to either be a suffer move -2 or 2 suffer moves -1. We can talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
Or you face a complication at the destination. Envision what you encounter. And so we can do that part together if that's what you choose. Or you can just have it be like, oh, maybe it costs you some of your supply and maybe some stress too, or we decide how that plays out.
Okay. I'm leaning cost, but I feel like this is a little bit of group decision, so there aren't any strong feelings either way.
Well, this is the decision in this context is entirely in the player's mind.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to this is not the character making this decision; it's the player.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go cost.
Okay. So, would you like it to be a purely supply cost or supply plus something else? So it's either you're going to lose 2 supply, or you're going to lose 1 each of 2 things.
I'll do 2 supply. I'll say
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go 2 supply.
All right. So go ahead and mark your supply down to 3.
Okay, done.
And then I think in the same way as the So unlike the stress move, there's no way to resist the supply loss.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that, in order to replenish your supply, you will have to, look for supplies at some point.
Okay.
Resupply is a move that you can do when the fictional circumstances would make that allowable. But so I think what just happens is something about the nature of the drifts on this particular trip. You find like maybe Cassidy didn't get your engine tuned quite perfectly, because you sure did use a lot more fuel than you expected for that particular transportation. You're not in dire straits or anything, but you just kind of like, wait, how are we at half empty already?
Come on, Cass.
Yeah.
Did the engine always rattle like that?
Is it, wait, you'd be the first rattle or the second rattle? I think the second rattle's new.
The second rattle, yeah. The first one, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, right, that was standard, yeah. Oh man, so we got an engine rattle, and then the fuel is at half. I say this to everybody. I know I said I trust Cass, and we're super tight. I don't trust Cass. I'm writing this down. This is costing one of her favors.
So, the next step here is that now that you have arrived in the Prism system, you are towards the outskirts of the system. You are far enough away that like neither of these planets show as anything other than just pinpoints of light, but you can get to where you're going in a matter of hours. But you see the white dwarf star of Prism glowing in kind of an iridescent way in the distance. But now that you're within the system, you can start to scan for the Terrapin's transponder beacon. But here's what we're going to do. This is going to be another gather information roll for someone to make. But what you can also do, so one of you will make the gather information roll. But each of you can also, before that happens, do a secure and advantage move to aid your ally. So like you could potentially make your own move to increase the likelihood of a success of their move. But anytime you make a move in this game, there is a potential cost. If your attempt to provide an advantage doesn't go well, there might be a cost associated with that. So you can decide at any time anyone's making a move, if it makes sense in the story for someone to say, okay, well, I'm going to rig the power supply of the system to boost the sensor range and try to aid the ally in that way, right? You could do something like that. So aiding your ally is always something that can be done if it makes sense in the fictional circumstance. But as we move into a phase of the game where we might be making more moves, that can always happen. But you should be approaching this in the context of fiction first. Like, so rather than say, I want to aid my ally, what you should say is, for example, I'm going to look at the star charts and figure out what is the most likely pathway that it might be on so we can narrow the field that we need to scan. Something like that, right? And so whatever's happening in any circumstance, try to describe what your character is doing, and then I will call for the move.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, since I said earlier that my station has passive sensors, and no one said I didn't. So hey, you let me in there, so that's what I'm going to do. Trish is going to look at the local charts, and she's going to look over to Corin and say, "Look, I've gone up and down this way in previous jobs."
So you said.
And I know I swear I'm telling you the truth. Have I ever lied to you, Corin? Really?
Apparently you have.
What? Oh, that's an omission of details. That's not lying.
So
well, that being said, she says, I do know that there are some direct routes, the routes that are more commonly traveled to and from planet side, that are a little bit safer because there are occasional spaceborne debris, remnants of asteroids and whatnot. How about I boost the sensors, Corin, just so I can see which ones were more recently used, because as we know, ships will leave energy signatures. It would narrow our field of our search a little bit.
I mean, that sounds solid to me.
So the way this works is when you're essentially doing the secure and advantage move. And so you decide when you are doing that. If you're acting with speed, mobility, or agility, you would roll with edge. If you're doing it with resolve, command, or sociability, that would be heart. Strength, endurance, aggression with iron. Deception, stealth, or trickery, shadow. Expertise, focus, or observation would be wits. Now, wits seems like it would sort of inherently be the most likely, but I could also see, given what we were just talking about, that maybe what this is less about the scientific analysis of the most commonly used paths and more about like, this is the way people go when they get hit by pirates. You know what I mean? Like, so if you wanted to have it be shadow instead of wits, that would maybe make sense. So up to you.
That's where Trish would be coming from. She's her previous life as a pirate, so she would go by shadow. So a straight roll against that.
Yeah. So you're rolling plus shadow. So you would you can either just click on your shadow stat, or you can do it from the secure and advantage move.
I'll click straight from shadow.
Okay. So it looks like you got a strong hit, which means. Ordinarily, when you're doing this move, you would either take +2 momentum or a +1 to your next move. But because you're doing it to aid Corin gets that benefit. So you can either add 2 to your momentum now, or you can choose to add a +1 to your gather information roll. If it's going to be you that makes it, like whoever's making it. So whoever's going to do the actual scanning.
I mean, I can do the scanning unless can Trish do the scanning since she's at the.
I can. I've got passive scanning, but I was thinking if you're looking for active navigational scanning, that might be you.
Well, I think that it theoretically could be anyone. There are multiple systems available here on your ship, and also for that matter, just because we sort of did it in the context of aiding an ally, secure an advantage is a move that you can do for yourself too. So even if Trish is going to do the scan, she could still have narrowed the field before that, right? So, and then it would just be whoever it is that's going to make that scan gets that +1.
Okay. Well, does anyone mind if I do the scan then?
Go for it.
Yeah, makes sense. You got the equipment right there.
And for the record too, it is one of those things like where you're having this choice of either a +1 to the roll or +2 momentum. This is an example of one of the ways that you can build momentum.
Okay,
So, but up to
+2 momentum. Sorry, Christiana. I think we need this is Krish's intuition is saying we got to home in on the ship fast. So what I'm going to do when I do the scan is I'm going to burn that momentum. I've got a total of
well, no,
5.
you don't need to burn it until you see the roll, and you can burn it if it will help. You don't have to. You wouldn't ever burn momentum before you roll.
Okay, cool.
But what you're going to do is you're going to do a gather information roll with it, which is plus wits.
Okay, so I'll just roll against my wits then and see what I get.
Okay, and you ended up with a strong hit. Good for you. So on a strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. And in fact, the path you must follow or action you must take to make progress is made clear. Envision what you learn and then take +2 momentum. So you get another +2 momentum.
Thank you.
Look at that. So also just I remembered one other thing is that because you're in space now, Parker, you have your Voidborn trait. So your momentum reset is currently +3 rather than +2, just in case you didn't remember that. Okay, so I would say, having narrowed the search range and then performed your sensor sweep, you find the precise location of the terrapin, and it is to some extent in the place you were maybe kind of hoping that it wasn't. And is it good news or bad news that it is currently stationary?
Okay. So Trish will share that information.
Yeah, it is stationary, just in space. It's not orbiting anything. It's just out in the middle of nowhere.
Can we tell whether it has, I know this is probably borrowing a page from Star Trek here, but is there any way we can tell whether its systems are operational? Like, are the
Nice.
lights dark or is it?
I will say that because of your strong hit in this context, you actually get a pretty significant diagnostic readout. It's reasonably close. It's close enough for you to know that the beacon is actually sending out the emergency signal, like the distress signal, but also that it is currently the drive is unpowered.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm sure it's fine.
That is a very trap-shaped object.
Yeah, I mean, seems pretty straightforward. They clearly just had an issue with their drive, and I guess mission accomplished, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Found her. Right there.
Let's grab the scrapping rights. There we go.
And can they attempt to communicate with the ship?
So I think you would need to get a little closer, but there's also no need to belabor that time. Clock wipe, you're closer.
Nice.
You have sent out hailing. You can see the ship as you're coming up on it. You sent out a hail. There is no response. It is still sending out this automated emergency beacon. And as you start to get closer, you see that it is adrift. The cargo bay doors are wide open.
Yeah.
Also, the side, passenger airlock seems to have been breached.
Oh,
All right,
that's
so Una's gonna look directly at Trish because somebody has experience with pirates, and she
Yep.
says, "So what does that say to you?"
Yep.
It means one of two things. Either they were boarded by force, and if there's residual power on the ship, then we can only hope that the surviving crew have sealed off part of the ship and they're holding out. Or there was an emergency and their escape craft wasn't functional and they had to blow their cargo bay doors to get out. But there's no sign. I didn't pick up any signatures of an escape craft. And if they were in exosuits, they wouldn't have gone very far. So I have to assume that someone's boarded them, which means we should go in armed.
See, that assessment started off really rosy, Trish, and then you kind of turned it on its head, and it got really grim.
Well, what can I say? I'm a pragmatist.
All right. Armed it is.
So
then.
I hate to say it, we've got to be ready for the worst. I sort of know what these people are like.
Sort of.
They're going to shoot first and ask questions later. We need to be prepared.
This isn't the sort of thing that, like, your family, parents, etc., where, like, were they fond of the whole, set a busted ship and wait for someone to come in and then set upon them and, like, sort of like stacking turtles of piracy? Is that their thing?
Oh, no. They were much higher up in the pecking order than that. They were on the corporate side.
Oh.
No,
Oh, of course.
the ground level people did that sort of thing. But they did that, but I was really young at the time.
Right.
I was
I guess it depends how valuable they find harpoons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're pretty useful out here with the stellar winds.
That's it.
So we might get lucky. Maybe they're gone.
Fingers crossed. So, can we see? Because I'm thinking if we want to board, you said the one airlock, Christiana, is breached.
Right. So basically, you could dock with it, but it won't function as an airlock. It is just wide open.
Okay. Do we see another airlock that might be functional, or is that the only one?
Well, you don't. But as mentioned, the cargo bay doors are just open.
Right. Okay.
There would be a manual override in a situation like this, and we could. I'm going to go on a limb here, Christiana, that we probably have emergency power supplies on the ship in case there's a localized failure, like a big battery pack or something. So would we have one on ship that we could bring over so we could patch it into their airlock system that we could at least restore power to that subsector and get the doors closed again and maybe
Well, so in this context, at least that one airlock seems to be, when I say breached, I should be clear, the door has been cut open.
Right.
Okay.
It is not functional. It's not just a matter of power. However, it is possible that there may be other areas of the ship where life support and air could be restored, even if that airlock is not working. But I think that would be something where you could potentially, if you want to check to see if you have a portable emergency power thing that can connect to another ship for that purpose, that sounds like the sort of move that would be check your gear. I think that, let me double check exactly what it's called. Check your gear is exactly the move. So how about we have Trish go ahead and roll that.
So that would be, oh, here we go. Check my gear.
Yeah. And so in this
All
case,
right.
you are rolling supplies. So it's going to be a plus 5.
So roll +5 here. All
Well,
right.
do it with the supply, but yeah, that is what the roll will be.
Okay, so I'll just supply. Here we go.
All right, another strong hit. You guys are off to a good start. So with a strong hit, you have it, and you are ready to act. Take +1 momentum. Look at Trish building that momentum.
Woohoo! So Trish grabs the battery pack and she'll strap it to her back or get it ready so she'll put on her exosuit to carry over.
So just to clarify, we should distinguish between a regular environment suit or spacesuit and the exosuit, which is like armored and weaponed.
Spacesuit then. Okay, thanks.
Just I don't want I don't want Parker's exosuit to be diminished in its specialness.
There can only be one Smiley
For now.
for now.
A whole array of smileys at some point.
So, Christiana, do we have, I'm assuming, is it safe to assume that we've got like basic small arms or something like that?
Yes. So what we can assume as a general so your supply score represents a basic abstraction of all of the things that you might have. And in this context, because you wanted something special, we did a roll for it. But the things where it just makes sense that you would have one, you just have it.
Great.
Yeah. So if we wanted to say like a simple like blaster pistol or something like that, flashlights, yeah, you just have that stuff.
Okay. Well, we're going to assume that power might not be complete on the ship. We've got to make sure we've got our flashlights too.
All right, so you coming up alongside the ship, I assume?
Yep.
How are you boarding?
Well, I am definitely
Cautiously.
boarding. Yeah, I'm behind Parker. Basically, I'm behind the one with the exosuit.
Yeah, I'll be behind Una, so like as long as I'm in the middle somewhere, and then I'm a happy camper.
Right.
Unless I should stay on the ship.
I mean, up to you.
Trish
I
will
feel
be
like
coming in behind with the battery pack because we don't want to risk that getting destroyed.
That's true. Does do you want Corin along? I kind of feel like having just in case like pirates or some such show up, that maybe having in the cockpit makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, you can stay at the ship and.
Okay. It's not. I mean, I would go with you in a heartbeat. It's not that I don't want to go on and board and potentially fight pirates. I'm thinking strategically is what I'm. And he's saying this as he walks away back towards the cockpit.
That would be funny though. Like we get on the busted out ship and the pirates just like sneak on and like drive ours away. Yeah, no, the platypus needs a protector. So.
Like, see yous.
What happened to your crew? No idea.
Nice.
I don't know.
So are you going in through the breached airlock or through the cargo bay?
If the breached airlock will accept the exosuit, then yeah, go through the airlock.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a squeeze. You'll have to like crouch down a little bit, but you can get through.
Okay. Then yeah, I will be the meat shield for everybody else and
All
head
right.
in through the airlock.
So as you're doing this, there's no need for a roll in this circumstance because at least you've matched velocities with the terrapin, so there's no relative movement between the two ships. There's nothing happening right now, and so the idea of just basically using your spacesuit to move from one to the other is not something risky that requires a roll in this circumstance. So you just go ahead and you make your way over to the terrapin. And so What you find to your right, you're entering from this airlock into a corridor, and to your left would seem to go down a little ways towards the cockpit. To your right, you can actually see into a small living area where there is stuff just strewn all about and all over, perhaps because someone breached the airlock.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of like a lounge and sort of a little kitchenette type of area, but just everything that wasn't bolted down is all over the place.
Are there any bodies in here?
Are there bodies? There
Yeah.
are not bodies in here. You don't see any sign of, well, so what you do see looking around here, let's have, well, how about this? It is actually Parker in front making this initial assessment. So let's have you do a gather information.
All right.
Okay, so with a weak hit on gather information, the information provides new insight but complicates your quest. So I think what you see is you see some evidence of blaster fire, but it does all appear to be on the ceiling, which suggests to you perhaps warning shots. What you also see near the airlock, just on the inside of it, is a station where there are like racks for 3 environment suits, 3 spacesuits that are empty. The spacesuits are not in the rack.
All right. Well, I will relay that information to everyone else. It's like, so good news, bad news. Bad news is blaster fire. Good news, it looks like whoever left in spacesuits.
Yeah. You do also get +1 momentum for your weak hit on the gather information. You know, just because it's weak, it's still a hit, so it's not a miss. So you do get a bonus still, +1 momentum.
Yeah. So I guess both in character and out of character, I would ask if there's any way to track a spacesuit, if they have any sort of.
There potentially could be. That seems like the sort of thing that someone who is handy with technology or electronics might know how to do that.
Right.
I mean, or potentially anyone could be. These are the sorts of things that you tell me what you would be trying to do, and then we see if it's a roll.
Well, actually, can Una enter the ship as well?
I mean, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
you all tell me what you're doing.
Yeah, no, once Parker is kind of given a little assessment that there's not active pirate fighting, like shooting and stuff like that, she would enter the ship mostly out of curiosity, and kind of look for any areas where it seems that a crew member might have locked the door or closed the door, or if everything is open, and therefore exposed to that breach.
All right. So I think as you're looking around here, at least what you can tell just right on the face of it is that it does appear that right now the entire ship has been exposed to breach. There's no little room or pocket or closet or something that still has air. It's been all opened up. And I think Trish could probably vouch for that is pretty standard drift pirate behavior. Yeah. Theoretically, it's possible that they will sometimes leave crew stranded in one room that's sealed like that and assume that they might be rescued. Some pirates will just kill everybody. Some might take hostages. But you can see that right now, at the very least, it looks like there are no life signs aboard.
Okay.
And is there anything like, well, I guess they would mostly be the harpoon. Anything useful would have been taken. So that would just like highlight the pirate.
So, for example, some of the things that you could still do are go look for clues in the cockpit, the cargo bay, or the living area.
Yeah, I think that Una's going to the cockpit to look for clues there because she'd assumed that whatever first response happened in the cockpit. Of course, she's not exactly a cockpit specialist, but she's hung out in one long enough to kind of know just like the basics.
There might be recordings or security recordings of what happened on the ship.
Who knows? That like cameras are a thing.
So, so perhaps then, as you make your way to the cockpit, let's have a gather information roll.
All right, I'm going to be the first miss of the day. I just know it.
Well, we'll see.
Character sheet. Sorry, moves. Gather information. Set of course.
Yeah, so this is under adventure moves.
Let me see where you're at. Sorry about that. Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, look, you got a strong hit too. You
Hey!
are doing pretty great so far. Lucky you. You get all your good rolls out before the dangerous stuff comes.
Yeah, exactly.
So you find, first of all, you find and avoid what looks like a left behind booby trap that was pretty shoddy, frankly. Like you were not really in danger from it because you are skilled enough to avoid what would have been barely functional, but it's not a very impressive device. But it looks like it was just designed to sort of like be a little bit like an sort of electronic trip mine sort of deal. Right. But you are able to easily avoid it, and doesn't really look like you use a little piece of you grab a rolled up magazine from one of the pockets behind one of the seats and just scoot it out of the way.
That would actually be a laugh.
Yeah. But then once you are in the cockpit and you are looking, you are able to find the ship's log and what looks like a message in the outgoing communications buffer that didn't get sent.
Yeah, she would definitely wave over Parker, like, "Hey, be careful not to step on that pathetic excuse for a booby trap." But I think this might be useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ship's log indicates that they were en route from Rampart Landing, planning to transfer, to use the Eidolon Drive to go to Lagrange Station Delta. When they were intercepted by a ship known as the Dead Reckoning, that hailed them and basically said, "Prepare to be boarded," and then they were boarded, and that's the end of the log for the Terrapin, other than the automated, status messages that say, "Warning, your airlock is about to be breached. Warning, your airlock has been breached. Warning, loss of life support to primary ship areas," and et cetera, et cetera. But as mentioned, you also see that there is someone looks like they were trying to send a message and it didn't get sent.
Do you know how to work this thing, Parker? I'd like to hear what they were trying to say.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and try to get that out of there. Let's see here. And how would I try to get that out of there?
Yeah, I think this is trivial. This is not a role for this. It's just like, it's a pretty common ship system. So basically it was, unfortunately, it was recorded, but then just kind of like, "Are you ready to send?" That command didn't happen. So what you see is that you play back the message and you see the face of like an unfamiliar but kind of a scrawny looking guy leaning way too close to the little camera and talking very quietly, saying, "For whoever receives this, I'm my name is Cleric, codename Cleric, and I'm aboard the Terrapin. We've been boarded by pirates. My crewmate Quinn is trying to negotiate some sort of a deal with them. So I think that they might take us alive, but they're taking the crew and the cargo. I don't know exactly what the plan is, but they're talking about some sort of a like weird like big game hunting sky roost thing on the Pearl. I don't know what all that. What? And then he's like yanked away, and the rest of that message is just like it's just blank until the end of the like recording buffer.
Okay. And I'll play it over comms so everybody gets that.
Okay.
Dead Reckoning. I wonder if it has a reputation that our friend Trish might know about.
I just might know.
Yeah.
So
Well-
that, gather information, or would this be something else? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, you can try that move to see.
Was anybody on that ship at your family reunion last year?
That's a good That's a good point. All right, so let's give this a shot here.
Okay, so your roll ended up being a weak hit, but you do have enough momentum that you could make it a strong hit if you wanted. The difference in this context is that you probably don't want to burn momentum, because the primary mechanical difference between a strong hit and a weak hit here is that you get +2 momentum instead of +1, but you would be burning all the way down to +2 first, right? So you already have enough. You probably don't necessarily need that. However, narratively, the weak hit is going to complicate your quest some instead of being clear and helpful.
Well, the complicated quest is more fun and makes for a better storyline. And Trish is a gambler at heart, but she likes to hedge her bets, so she's going to hold on to that momentum because she might need it later. This is not life or death.
Sure. So in this case, on a weak hit, the information provides new insight, but also complicates your quest. Envision what you discover, then take +1 momentum. In this context, I think what you realize is that the Dead Reckoning is a ship that you have heard about. Like you don't know everything about it. You're not like friends with the captain's brother or something like that. But you do know that the captain is a real skeezy sort named Lux Bridger. And he does operate primarily out of Divers Depot. But what you actually know that ship from, more than actually being drift pirates that just rob ships, is that they actually have a whole business that they operate illicitly out of Divers Depot, where they do big game hunting for rich assholes. To be clear, like illegal big game hunting. Illegal in the context that they probably shouldn't, but who's going to stop them is kind of the scenario.
Right.
So Trish relays this information.
You're coring over the comm, just be like, so are you telling, you're not saying you're also like you were a big game hunter back in the day, as well as a pirate, as well as Robin Hood. Like I just want to make sure I know everything about you now. That's all. No, Mark. No, I would never hurt it. I never hurt a fly. Never hurt a big animal. Well, I hit a fly that bit me, but I wouldn't shoot a big animal. No, they're majestic. Okay, good talk.
Yeah, but what sort of big game are we talking about?
Well, so one of the things that there was a clue in that comm that perhaps, as a xenobiologist, your character may be able to, Una may know how to do some of that. So you have, so you can do a gather information, but you have a bonus to that for your naturalist asset.
All right.
Nice.
Bonus. And let's see. So naturalist, sorry, I look at what the bonus is.
Yeah, so if you here, I believe if you pull up that
here it is.
asset, it says when you gather information related to
life forms, add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Strong
basically, when you do the gather information move and it gives you the little modifier, you'll put a +1 in there, and then, all right. So it looks Yeah, it looks like you got a weak hit, which means that the information provides new insight, but also complicates your quest. Um, and it's actually the perfect result for the information that I was going to share with you anyway.
Oh no.
Which is that
That's never good.
the term that really stood out to you like a beacon in that comm message is sky roost, because in the incredibly deep clouds of the Pearl, which is a gas giant around this system, there are reputed to be all manner of different life forms, but one of the most mysterious and fantastical is the sky roost, which is basically a skyscraper-sized mushroom jellyfish coral reef that is reputed to actually be itself the nesting grounds ecosystem of thousands of other smaller life forms. And it drifts around in the clouds of the Pearl. That is what a sky roost is. And so the thing is, they are big and really strong and pretty dangerous. And so the idea of hunting one seems a little bit strange. But at the same time, there is a moment where all of you kind of realize, wait, what was this ship carrying?
Oh,
Right,
no.
yeah.
Harpoons.
Yeah.
And so
Uh,
that's perhaps a good button to go to a break. How do y'all feel?
yeah.
Space whale. There's space whalers.
Oh,
God
man.
damn it.
All right. So yeah, this is perfect. Thanks, Christiana.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna take a break here. I will transition to our little break card, and as they are wont to say here on the stream, break for us is a break for you folks. So all you folks watching, go and stretch your legs, grab a drink, whatever you need. We'll be back in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sweet. You guys
and the sound should be working this time. So, presuming that it is, welcome back. Before we dive back, or first of all, if you're just joining us, we're playing Ironsworn Starforged here at Bag of Giving. For what is our last game of the season, we will be back. Just after a brief pause to get ourselves organized. And as a result, I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, we're giving away some books. Some pretty cool books, I think. We're giving away... doing the opposite order this time. We're giving away a copy of Premi Mohammed's award-winning book, The Annual Migration of Clouds, which is such a good book. Holy gods. If you haven't read it, it is so good. So we're giving away a copy of that. We're giving away a copy of my book, Catalyst, which isn't even out yet. Comes out in October. I like to think it's good. And then we're also giving away a copy of so we got 2 novels and 1 games book, or one TTRPG. Tomorrow on Revelation 3 by friends of the stream, CJ Linton and Dominique Dickey. Phenomenal sci-fi adventure, so fits our theme tonight. And we're giving away all 3 of these. All you have to do is type in the chat with one of 2 things. So either your favorite game that we have done over the past few months here at Bag of Giving, whichever one that was. If you don't remember all the games or you haven't seen them, you can go to our website. They're all listed there. Or let us know in the chat if there's a game that you think we should play in our next season. Your favorite game, something new out there, some indie, something that we maybe have never heard of. We've got a couple of suggestions already. Type that in the chat. You'll be entered into our giveaway. It's as easy as that, this time only. But if you want to go and support one of our Spotlight charities, like NNAF, you can go on our website and do that as well. We'd really appreciate it. Lots of ways to enter our giveaway. And do it. I want to give away these books. Do it. Do it. And without further ado, we will dive back in.
All right. So, first thing we're going to do is, I actually meant to do this when we first found the ship, but we're going to mark progress twice on your Bring Back Cass's Son quest.
Nice.
So, because this is a dangerous tier quest, when we mark progress, you mark 2 full boxes for each time you mark progress. So we're actually going to do that twice. I'll just go ahead and fill it in on here, but what it'll mean is that you have 4 full boxes. But that would still be relatively low chance of success if you were trying to just say you're done. You'd be basically saying, well, we figured out what happened to him. Hopefully he'll figure it out. So probably you want to do more than that. You also have additional motive now, so I think we're probably not going to call it quits here, but in principle you could. That is how the mechanic works. Cool. But in this context, though, we're going to go ahead and I assume what I'll go ahead and grant you here is, because you have that the name of the ship, you can scan for the transponder of that ship. And then you begin to, so I guess the question would be, what are you doing next, given the information that you have?
Well, here's my thought. Since the Dead Reckoning is a pirate vessel, chances are any active registration on it will be disabled. So really, the only way we're going to see it is by sight, probably. I mean, because it's depending on the type of ship it is, its energy signature probably won't stand out. So we're basically going to be looking for a needle in a haystack. But we know where roughly they're going. So big game hunting in the Pearl, where the sky roosts are. So we at least know that. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion is that we make tracks there, and we do a very wide sensor sweep to look for any energy signature of any vessels. Because if these are, my guess, or Trisha's guess would be, if these are big game and they're being studied, any vessel that's found there would probably be a research vessel, and pirate vessels are probably a bit larger, so they'll probably have a slightly different energy signature, probably a bit stronger. That might be a way that we could find them.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
How does that sound?
Yeah, no, I agree. And if we get to the sky roost, then we can conceivably protect it from any threats that do emerge, even if they aren't the Dead Reckoning. And I would like to say that without going on a rant here, but like Una would just be like talking anyone's ear off, like about the ecological importance of protecting the sky roost and all of the animals that live around it and within it. It's like, you know how sometimes people who really love a subject just get into it.
Yeah, no, yeah, Corin, even though nobody can see him in the cockpit, Corin's nodding along. Because yeah, no, I'm with you. Do you want me to try, Trish? Do you think it's worth me scanning for the transponder just in case, or not bother?
Sure, it's
Well,
worth.
So what I'll suggest here is that you've already set a course. We're not even going to do the move. You're just going to fly to the Pearl.
Cool.
We're going to get there, and then you can do the search once you have arrived there. But what I'm also going to introduce at this time is what is known in Starforged as a tension clock.
Oh no!
This is a 6-segment clock that represents how well the hunting expedition is currently going. And this does not move independently of you. It is something that you can, if you have rolls not go well, one of the options for how to pay the cost of it is to have the tension clock advance. But this is a tension clock that represents they get, if it fills up all the way, the pirates have gotten away with their prize and they still have the hostages.
Shoot.
So don't want that to happen. Okay. But so that is now beginning that tension clock with one segment filled of 6.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So with that, would you like to scan the Pearl for the Dead Reckoning?
Yes, indeed, we would.
All right. So remember, you can aid each other if you want, or you can just go ahead and do your systems gather information.
I'll help.
I was going to say, Trish, if you want to do the security.
I will help you. So could I roll against my shadow for this?
Well, describe how you are in the fiction doing that.
Okay, sure. No, sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
So when the plan is hatched, Trish will think back on her time growing up and riding vessels, sort of like the Dead Reckoning, but not. And knowing how they tried to mask signatures, what she will do is she knows that sometimes pirate vessels would remodulate their signatures to make it sound like space static sometimes, or to pass themselves off as other vessels. Sometimes it works, but for someone who knows the system, you can piece through what a fake signal is and what a genuine ship signature would be. And when she was growing up, she did it a few times. So she knows some of the ways that they play with the sensor emissions to send it off. So what she will do is she will talk Corin through it, because unless we're going to do this back on the platypus, if she's still on the terrapin, she would walk.
Oh well, so I'm assuming you have gotten back on the platypus and flown to the Pearl, which I will. As you are coming up on the Pearl, this is an enormous gas giant with all sorts of different colors on it that seem to shine and sometimes glow and fluoresce under the spectral light of Prism. And it has an enormous complex ring system too. That's what you're flying up on. So, but it sounds like you have a justification for trying to help with the scanning with your background there. So you can roll secure an advantage with Shadow.
And I'm going to ask you another question, Christiana. Looking at my tech path, it says when I make a move to configure, optimize, hack, or disrupt an electronic system, add +1. Would you allow me to add a +1 to that?
Well, so I will, because it sounded like the description that you, yeah, you know what? I'll allow it. Sure, why not?
Okay, is it nothing ventured, nothing gained?
No, absolutely. I just, we could get into it, but let's also move on. Yeah, go ahead and do it. Okay, so with your secure an advantage, that's a weak hit. And so what that means is that you are choosing which to pass on, or rather, you only get either take +2 momentum or a +1 to the next move, not both. And that benefit goes to whoever's making the gather information roll.
I'll take the +1 to the next move.
Okay. So if that's going to be whoever's going to make that gather information roll, you have a +1 to it.
All right, cool. So that's just a +1 in the modifier, right?
Yep.
Cool. Would my navigator asset count for this, Christiana?
Potentially.
It says gathering information about a location by studying your charts. I don't know if this counts as studying charts.
You know what? I'll allow it. Sure.
Beauty. So I had another +1, so it's +2.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, yeah. So I figure I'm pouring over what we have in the system about this.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're probably studying in this context is charts of the different types of atmospheric pockets in the Pearl.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's try this.
Oh, look at that. That's a strong hit.
Finally. All right.
Yeah. So, on a strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or the action you must take to make progress is made clear. Envision what you learn, then take +2 momentum. And so you can go ahead and get your +2 momentum. And yeah, you've got a ping, and you are sure that is the Dead Reckoning. It is not like right next to you. It's like, oh God, it's right there. No, it's a ways in there, but you know where to go. Now you have to just fly to it.
Perfect.
And so here's where we're going to undertake an expedition.
Okay.
Now, undertake an expedition does not have to be the pilot making the roll, because this is a team effort. You're all going to a place, right? So the expedition represents all of you doing your own part for this. So the 3 options for this move that can be, you're either moving at speed and someone is going to need to roll edge, or you're trying to keep under the radar and someone will roll shadow, or staying vigilant, someone will need to roll wits. Right. And so you can decide who is making the actual undertake an expedition roll. But in this context, the expedition you're making, I'm adding a progress bar that is a troublesome one. And this is for reaching the Dead Reckoning. And so a success on undertake an expedition lets you mark progress on that progress bar. Whoops. Yeah, sorry, yes, allow me to finish typing and then you can, so whoever's clicking on this shared sheet, don't do that right now. Thanks. Just because it's shared, anyone can click on it and it changes, but I was trying to type something in it. Okay, so now it's there, and so what it means is that whoever it is that's going to be responsible for the move, we should describe what it is they're doing that makes the beginning of your journey reflect that approach. And of course, this is another thing where you can do, secure an advantage again too, if you like.
Okay. Una, how much, keep telling us more what you know about this planet. I'm thinking maybe we can establish our, kind of get us in our groove, get us excited about this. I want to feel pumped up for this journey. Just keep, tell me all the cool stuff.
Well, I could tell you about the range of ambient radiation it tends to prefer that might help us pinpoint a more specific location.
There we go, liking that.
Well, I think in this context, where the location you're going to is, but it would help you to perhaps avoid the more dangerous places on the way.
Oh, that's a good point. All right.
Yeah, so in this case, you could do secure an advantage with wits, it sounds like, and you would have your bonus to that.
Sweet. All right, securing that advantage, wits. So that'll be, I just do a wit roll.
Well, so you can either do a wits roll or you can do it from secure an advantage under adventure moves.
Oh, I should do that.
Yeah, either way.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah. So that was it looks like that didn't include your +1, but it was a strong hit anyway. So
Oops.
no, that's all right. It just means that you have now provided whoever it is that is making the undertaken expedition roll will get to take +2 momentum and a +1 to the roll.
All right.
All right. Anyone want to jump on the undertaking? I'm happy to just kind of fly us around and.
I mean,
All right, I'll do that.
all right. So which strategy are you employing?
I'm thinking not fly casual, but like I want to try to fly under the radar, try to slip in unnoticed.
Okay, so that's going to be a shadow roll.
That's gonna be terrible.
Well, no. That's why perhaps it doesn't have to necessarily be reflected by the pilot.
That's
right?
Someone else want to help me.
Whoever it is that is helping you to maintain, stay
Yeah.
under the radar can make that roll, right?
Yeah.
That would probably
Not
be
Yep.
Probably be me.
Big trick.
So,
Shadiest person in the crew.
All right.
yeah, that's it.
I say it with affection.
And anytime there's skullduggery that has to be done, just look to Trish. All right. So what do I need to do?
So this is
then?
undertake an expedition, and you'll be able to choose shadow, but you also get the +2 momentum and the +1 modifier from Una's secure an advantage.
Okay, so undertake an expedition. Okay, keep under the radar. All right. And sorry, that was a +2 you said?
You get +2 momentum and a +1 to
Okay.
the move.
Okay, there we go.
You got this.
All right, strong hit with a match. And so I think what this is going to, in this context, on a strong hit, you reach a waypoint and mark progress. So for a troublesome, we mark 3 full boxes when we mark progress. And once again, as mentioned, you can, at any time you want, try to complete the expedition, reach the destination, and you would roll based on how much of the progress bar is filled up, right? So you don't have to get to 10, right?
Okay.
But in this context, you are now at a waypoint. So because there is a match, you get to make a discovery. And I think just for fun, I'm going to roll the Make a Discovery Oracle.
Nice.
All
All
right.
right.
Let's see.
Oh.
The result was a marvel of ancient engineering. And so I think that as you are making your way, you've made your way through some dense cloud layer into a pocket where it is more transparent. You're better able to kind of see through these endless clouds. And as you're descending into the different atmospheric layers of the Pearl, through the mists in this pocket, you catch a glimpse of what looks almost like a strange alien floating city.
Oh my God.
And you could choose to explore this waypoint and find out more about that, but you're on a clock. So tell me.
Can we leave a transponder marker on this thing so we can find it later? Do those exist?
You can. Well, one of the things too that you also get to do is you all get to mark 2 ticks on your Discovery legacy track,
Nice.
which we can if you go to your sheet under legacies. There's discoveries, and when you click that first box, you can make it the plus sign, which represents 2 ticks.
Nice.
And that is because you've made that discovery. So what I would say is you can mark this location, but you're not sure that it would necessarily be trivial to find again, but you can at least give it a shot.
But there's also a chance somebody else is going to find that transponder too.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, obviously, we're going to have to go ahead and rescue the kid.
Yes, the kid, but also everything else that we're going to rescue. I'm afraid that there's just not enough time.
Yeah, the animal stuff on the planet thing too. Like Parker's
Yeah.
very dismissive of anything that happens on a planet. So it's all flyover like planets.
I think in your head, Una, the Pedro says, I have heard tales of pyralisks that roost in nests within sky roosts. I have always wanted to devour one of their eggs.
Pedro, now.
Sorry, does Pedro vote to go to the ancient flying city? Because if Pedro votes to go to the ancient flying city, I can just turn the ship and no, we're okay.
No, Pedro always votes exactly as I vote. You should know this by now.
Right, I know. It's just look at it. No, we made a vow.
Pedro wants to embark on a gastronomic tour of the forge, but
Yeah.
So, in this context, then, if you are moving on for now, you will once again do the undertake an expedition roll in the same terms as we just did.
Cool.
So the goal is that you are filling up to reach the Dead Reckoning progress bar, and then you will be able to finish an expedition to try to arrive.
Cool. All right. Do you want me to take this one and I'll just fly us forward, or do you want to do it again, Trish?
take us in, Flyboy.
Doing it. So I gotta pull up my thing. Okay, undertake an expedition. Okay, so I'm trying to decide if I want to stay. Do we want me to still keep under the radar?
I mean, you all need to decide how you want to handle it. Think about it in the fiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Trish would advocate very strongly that we keep going under the radar because she doesn't know the Dead Reckoning well, except by reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And given what they did to the Terrapin, I mean, how well would we hold up against a concerted assault?
No, that's fair. Okay,
Yes.
I'll use the setup you gave us and see how we do. Am I adding any modifiers, Christiana, or no?
Well, unless somebody tries to give you one, you don't add
Okay.
anything.
Uh,
Only
I'll help you if you want.
the associated stat.
If you got something.
I can try to help you secure an advantage again if you want.
Yeah, if you got a way to do that, I'll take it before I hit submit.
Oh, well, okay. Well, we'll see what I can do. So we are going to.
I mean, the other thing we could just do is what you did just a moment ago, is if we're saying that what you're doing is helping to make sure you're staying on the radar, you are directing Corinne's piloting, for example, and then you made the move. So, but you guys can decide, like, again, try to think of it from the perspective of what are each of you doing for the expedition to help, and then we decide what move that is from there.
What Trish would be doing then, Corin, is she'd be talking you through it as you do it, as opposed to, so that would be more likely what she would be doing. So that would be.
And that could still be you essentially making the move because you are sort of directing the path for it, so to speak.
Okay, so that's undertake an expedition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And okay, roll. We're going to go under the radar, and I'm just going to do it straight.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a weak hit, and so this is as above. You are going to make progress, but this progress costs you. First, we'll go ahead and add progress. So you're now at 6 out of 10 on the progress bar. But you are either going to suffer costs en route, make a suffer move -2 or 2 suffer moves -1, or you face a peril at the waypoint And what I can offer is that one of those suffer moves could be advancing the tension clock.
Yeah.
Well, we've only got 1 out of 6 so far.
You could choose to advance it 1 and then take a suffer move of something else. You could say that you lose a point of integrity to the platypus as you're flying through hazardous crystalline rains, perhaps.
That would make for a good film. A good scene.
Yeah.
A little bit of turbulence.
I'm okay with that. I'm good with anything that doesn't move the tension clock any more than we have to.
Yeah, let's avoid moving.
Well, if you like, you're going through so fast that you take 2 points of integrity from the.
Platypus can handle it.
We still have a full hull. We're good.
All right, the platypus's ship integrity is now at +3 rather than +5.
Okay.
All right,
Good to know.
but you are now at 6 out of 10 on your progress.
Okay.
So you can, at any time you can try to say, I think we want to risk it and try to just make it there. Or you can continue to play it a little bit more safe and get a little bit more progress on there before you arrive. I think the waypoint that we have there reflects what we just described, which is that you pass through a cloud where it is a storm of crystalline projectiles being blown on hurricane force winds swirling around in the enormous storms of the Pearl.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, for her part, Una is going to be like researching the sky roof itself and is trying to figure out pretty much what its vulnerabilities are, where they'd be most likely to try to like hit it with a harpoon, and also like how dangerous it can be for pirate ships or even our ships.
Yeah.
Sure. So how about you do gather information in that regard. This is not related to your current expedition, but could benefit when you arrive.
All right.
And so you would have your naturalist bonus for this too.
All right. Sweet.
Okay, that's a strong hit.
Nice.
You discover something helpful and specific, the path you must follow or action you must take. So what you know about the sky roosts is the idea that someone might hunt them has always seemed crazy, just because they are so big and they have these enormous tentacles at the base of them that are long enough to basically reach up, and like anything that's in their basic proximity, you're just going to get like smacked by something the size of like a telephone pole, so it's like it's extremely dangerous. But what I think you realize thinking about it is that perhaps with these harpoons, what they hope to do is to spear it and then drag it to a different pocket of atmosphere. So like it's in an area that it likes, but if they can drag it to somewhere that it's less suitable for, maybe it'll be weakened.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I share this with the crew, and also suggest that if they reach the sky roost before we do and manage to get a hold of it, then we're going to have to be facing a moving target. So the sooner we get there, the better.
Okay.
Right. But the positive side, the helpful side here that you get here is that while it may be true that their attempt to use the harpoons to like tow it to somewhere that it'll be weaker, and then as long as they're towing it, like they're towing it presumably from the end where the tentacles are facing the other way, and so they're somewhat safe there. What you know is that if you were able to stop that from happening, stop them towing it, it's more than capable of handling itself. Although it's certainly something to be aware of. It might not necessarily be able to distinguish between two
Yeah.
different ships and who's friend and who's foe. But
And then we got hostages too. That it'll probably.
Okay.
That's
Sadly,
true.
we took a vow. We've got to think
Yeah.
about. You got to think about that as well.
Okay.
yeah, so that's what you know. But you're studying that in the meantime. So are you making another undertaken expedition move, or would you like to try to arrive? Understanding that if you attempt to finish an expedition with too low a progress and you get a miss, basically it potentially makes it a much more difficult journey to try to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
So,
I'm
But
thinking we
it's up to
keep.
you.
We got to get there quick. I wonder if, and this is kind of me shouting as I'm, juking the ship around. Any chance we can try to stabilize the ship or give a little kickstart to the engine so we can maybe get there a little bit faster?
That sounds like something that could be a secure advantage to help the undertake expedition move.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Either that, or you could just decide that is a move at speed undertake an expedition.
That's kind of, I was thinking of move at speed, undertaking advantage if someone else on the crew wants to take that.
Right? Now, bearing in mind, too, that, until you finish the expedition, you're still just on your way, right?
Right, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so if you want to do undertake an expedition moving at speed, you could roll it with edge.
Okay.
Or you could treat that as something that's an advantage for someone else making the roll. It's all down to what you all are each doing to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you vote? If someone wants to do it.
I think Corin is the edgiest of us all, isn't he?
This is true. All right, I'll do that then.
You are the hotshot pilot.
I am the hotshot pilot. If anyone's going to get it, it's going to be
This
okay.
is the Kessel run, Brandon. This is the
I feel like the Kessel run doesn't always go very well, but okay, I'll do that then. I'll do move at speed and see if I can get us
All
there. And then any modifier, Christiana?
No, not unless someone else is doing something to give you one, or you have an asset that would do it.
I don't.
Well, actually, your ace asset might be. Let me.
Maybe I don't. Unless we're facing danger or reacting under. I don't think it'll. I don't see any keywords
no.
that apply.
Okay.
This will be useful if we get shot at later, though.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Oh,
shoot! Sorry, Parker.
no, go for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Nope, shouldn't have.
Unfortunately, yeah. You got a miss there. So on a miss, you are waylaid by a crisis, or you arrive at a waypoint to confront an immediate hardship or threat. Do not mark progress and pay the price.
Nope.
And I think what's going to happen in this context here is that there are other things besides sky roosts that live in the clouds of the Pearl, and I think that you emerge from a pocket of opaque clouds, and then all of a sudden there is an enormous, flying sea serpent type creature with enormous jaws that seems to start swimming over in your direction. So you are all in a face danger situation here.
Yeah, no, that's not great. Yeah, Una, I swear I was listening the whole time to everything you rattled off around Sky Roost. I don't recognize that, so I'm just going to go like this.
Well, in this context.
That's not a sky. I'll go on.
What I was just going to say is, so this is a situation where, for example, you have potentially different options for how you would handle that. Are you just going to try to fly away from it? Are you going to try to fire at it to make it, scare it away? You're going to try to actually fight it completely? How do you all want to handle it?
Well, first of all, Una's gonna put her face to the window and see if she recognizes what the heck this thing is.
Well, that sounds like it would potentially be in this context, it would be secure an advantage to try to understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah, and maybe
unless what you're doing is researching, right? No. What
you're
trying to say is what is this thing, right?
Yeah.
So let's say secure an advantage, but I think in this context we can call it. We can say that your naturalist bonus counts.
One. Strong hit.
Okay, so with a strong hit, with your secure an advantage, that means that whoever is going to do this next roll will get +2 momentum and a +1 to the roll.
Okay.
But I think what you realize in there is, that this is something absolutely that you do not want to have try to take a bite out of your ship. You perhaps you can all decide how you want to handle it, but you think that it would probably not be able to outpace you if you just fly away. But you could also try to just scare it away.
Okay. Who's operating the guns? Parker, are you operating the guns?
I guess it's me.
Okay, take a shot at it. See if we can scare this thing off.
All right. Yeah. No,
Careful not to hit it. They're rare. Okay.
Yeah. Don't shoot. Don't hit it.
Right.
Sorry.
So I think this is going to be a face danger roll, and if you're using gunnery to do it, that's going to be an edge roll. But you can take +2 momentum and add 1 to the roll on top of that.
All right. So that's face danger.
Yes. And you'll want to do it with edge.
Right.
For using the guns.
Over.
Okay, so you rolled a weak hit. However, you do have enough momentum that you could turn that into a strong hit. In this context, though, the difference is on a strong hit, you are successful, take +1 momentum. On a weak hit, you succeed, but not without a cost, and we would require a suffer move of some kind. But if you were to burn momentum to get that strong hit, you're going from 6 down to back to 2.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and I'm going to burn because we've already had too many delays.
Yeah.
All right. Also, your reset should be back to 0.2 because you're in the gravity well of the pearl now. So, but you can put it back up to 3 for just for your strong hit. And I think what happens is that would you like to narrate how you scare this thing away with the guns?
Yeah. So because of the just because of the concern about doing too much damage to it, Parker doesn't attack with the ship's guns, but Parker attacks it through the back cargo bay with the exosuit's guns, just to sting it and get it to sort of like veer off.
Nice.
Instead of like firing ship-to-ship weapons at it.
Awesome.
Yes, it thrashes around in irritation and then sails off in another direction looking for easier prey.
Oh, thank God.
Not bad, Parker, not bad.
Ooh. Good move.
Taking notes. It seems to be irritated by the exosuit's goods.
Yeah.
Una's going full David Attenborough here on this.
Oh, yeah. I wish I could do my David Attenborough voice. I can't do impressions, but that'd be great. Does anyone...
The majestic stellar serpent. I'm not perfect either, but there's my attempt.
Yes. The serpent must look elsewhere today for its next meal. The endless search through the clouds of the pearl.
Amazing.
So as you must still you have not yet reached the Dead Reckoning. So which is I don't want to make it sound like I'm tooting my own horn for the reference here because it wasn't intentional, but I'm just realizing that flying through clouds, tracking a signal, trying to find a ship called the Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, just a bit.
Anyway, I'm only noticing that because I didn't actually design it that way on purpose. It was just a coincidence. But anyway, so you're still at 6 out of 10 on your progress. And in fact, I think also the tension clock is going to tick up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to just gun it?
Yeah, I say we call it.
Yeah, let's hit it.
Yeah.
Well, so are you doing? You mean finish an expedition or just proceed at speed?
I was thinking finish the expedition, but we can do one more move at speed. I see some nods.
Well,
okay, finish the expedition.
It is 100% an option, and so let me just so that you understand what the way the moves work. We've kind of seen what undertake an expedition does. You can undertake progress. When your expedition comes to end, we roll based on the 6 out of 10. And on a strong hit, you're great. On a weak hit, there is an unforeseen complication, but you do arrive. On a miss, you are going to either have to abandon the expedition or you have to make it a more difficult expedition because it's more complicated in some way, and so you're still not there.
Okay.
So.
Well, hell.
So I mean, so
right.
it's 100% an option. Like, and you're at 6 out of 10. It's not it's not outside the realm of possibility.
I mean, I could do one more. I could gun it, do one more.
There's no burning momentum for this though, because it's based on the
okay.
progress, not a stat.
Okay, then what about, how about to the crew? Gun it. I'll make one more attempt, like undertake an expedition roll to try to get us there, and then maybe finish it, get us a little bit closer in the progress. What do we think?
Our fate is in your hands.
Oh, okay, but I missed the last one. Don't.
Well, then maybe you'll get this one.
All right, okay, I'm gonna try.
Is there enough juice in the exosuits generator to give the engines a bump to get a little more speed?
Yeah, let's try that. So go ahead and do secure an advantage.
Love it.
I think in this context, I don't know. Part of me wants that to sound like heart, but I think probably iron makes more sense.
All right.
Because you're basically using the powers, the power of your suit to kind of boost.
All right.
We still have that booster pack that we rolled for. We could use that. When we were going to take it over to the Terrapin.
Yeah.
We still have that. That's in game now.
We would still need to do the move to have it used, but certainly that would be one way to flavor it.
And
you could do that in addition to the exosuit.
Okay.
Let's do it. Right
Go. Let's do that.
All right. So unfortunately, with a miss on the secure an advantage, what that means is you fail or your assumptions betray you, pay the price. I think what makes the most sense here, Parker, is that your attempt to connect the exosuit systems to the platypus overloads a little bit, and you're going to take a point of damage to your exosuit's integrity. And it doesn't provide any benefit on this time. Okay. However, we can also try using this other battery pack to do a similar thing. That sounds like someone doing a secure an advantage with wits.
Okay.
Okay, do it.
I'll do it.
Nice.
Okay, that's a strong hit. So that means that if Corin is going to do undertake an expedition, you get another +2 momentum and a +1 modifier to the move.
Okay, let's do that right now.
Go for it. Go for it.
Good.
Go for it, Flyboy.
Okay, so you said that last time.
Okay, so that's a weak hit. And so what that means is that you do mark progress.
Okay, good.
So you're now at 9 out of 10.
Okay.
On the progress bar, which is pretty good, right? You could do that one more and get it to 10, but 9's pretty good, right? And then, so on a weak hit, the progress costs you. Choose one. Once again, this is either face a peril at the waypoint, or we have suffer moves, and of course the tension clock could tick up to 3. That could be one of, or could even tick up to 4, and then you don't have anything else to do. But you could also. So this is again, either one thing needs to get two hits, or it, 2 different things each get 1. The tension clock is available, but it could also theoretically be something it related to, like, internally, as long as we can make it the fiction, like, you're flying around so erratically that someone falls and hits their head on the bulkhead or something like that. I'm just saying, like, there are lots of theoretical options, but
here's a random thought. How about when we plugged in the battery pack, when you kicked in the engines full throttle, it took in the power, but there all of a sudden there was a sudden surge because the battery pack was of a newer make than the ship.
Like
so there was a connection incompatibility, and it caused an overload to the system. So you burnt a couple of engine lines. The ship can still run, but we fried a few things on the ship.
So bear in mind though, your integrity is at +3 already. So if you want to take 2 more to that, you're running pretty close to the line, and especially when you're about to confront a pirate ship.
Yeah. I'm okay. Like I'm kind of feeling if we're gonna do the suffer. Corn's kind of been taking a couple of hits to his ego with this.
Okay.
Fight.
Oh, you want to take some
so I'm
spirit?
okay just taking that.
Do you want to have it be a -2?
Yeah, I'll do a -2. Yeah, because he's
Okay,
not doing his best.
All right. Okay. So go ahead and subtract 2 spirit.
Yeah.
And then you can do the endure stress move, if you like,
Yep.
where you would roll either your heart score or your current spirit, whichever is higher. So if your current spirit is at 3, then that would be higher than your heart, I guess. So you do whichever is higher.
Okay.
If you want to try to resist stress.
Yeah, I'll try that. So endure stress plus heart, you said, right?
Well, heart or spirit, whichever is higher.
Okay.
So, for example, your spirit, if you were at 5,
my
it would have
spirit
gone
is
down
higher,
to
sorry.
3,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So you take 2 off, and you're at 3,
Yeah, and my
which
heart's
is
only
higher
2,
than
so.
your. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Whichever is higher.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So so you got a miss, which on a miss, it's worse than you thought. You
Oh my
either suffer an additional 1 spirit loss, or you lose 2 momentum.
I'm burning the momentum.
Or you can burn your momentum and make it a weak hit, where essentially on a weak hit, you can choose to sacrifice momentum in exchange for gaining some of that spirit back. But if you have burned momentum to make that happen, then you would be going down from +2 lower than that, which is okay. I mean, it's fine.
I got plenty of momentum, so yeah, I'll burn the momentum.
Okay. So if you burn momentum and make it a weak hit, that means that at your current spirit score of +3, you can choose, for example, to bring it back up to +4 by sacrificing 1 momentum, or actually, I think, you can only just do it once. But so you could either keep things as they are now, or you can trade 1 point of momentum for a point of spirit.
I'll keep things as they are now. And so
right.
burning the momentum I'm burning 2 for that. Is that correct?
No.
I'm not burning it.
You have to click. If you're doing burn momentum, you have to click it, and it'll take.
Oh, it wouldn't let me.
It wouldn't let you?
No.
Well, what does your momentum say now?
My momentum is still at... That's still where it was at +7.
Okay, well, and it has burn to the right of that track. Can you click that?
I see. Maybe I was clicking on the wrong spot. Oh, I see. Sorry, I was clicking on the wrong spot. That's my bad.
That's right. Yeah, so it should reset you back
There
to
we go.
+2.
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
And so you can stay there at +2
Yeah.
and +3 spirit.
Okay.
Although I would suggest, just for fun, you should be role playing that you are at 60% spirit.
It's just really down in the dumps.
Yeah.
It's fine. Everything's great.
But
it's
you
fine.
all are now at 9 out of 10 on your expedition progress. You want to try to get it all the way to 10, or you want to try to finish it out?
Let's finish.
Let's wrap up.
Okay. And it doesn't matter who does the finish an expedition roll, because it's based on the progress. So I will go ahead and click that. But it is basically only rolling challenge dice against the 9 out of 10.
And I gotta just say I've been following chat, and the last comment is pretty funny. It says, authors and gamers playing RPGs. Gamer, OMG, I should totally get a +3 here because something unrelated happened 20 miles away. Writer, I want to take damage, so that'll be fun. All right, sorry for the interruption.
No worries, no worries. So, good news. You got a strong hit. So that means you reach your destination or complete your survey. Mark a reward on your Discovery's Legacy track per expedition's rank. This was only troublesome, so it's just 1 tick. But you can take your 2 tick box and make it a 3 tick box in your
All right.
Discovery. legacy. But also, you all get that. But also, you have arrived. You have located the Dead Reckoning, and what you find is going to be visible in a couple of handouts. That let me set those so that you can see them. First, there is the pirate Cutlass class ship.
Oh, nice.
Which this handout shows it in space, but obviously you're seeing it on the planet there. But also, you're seeing the Sky Roost itself. So I am showing
cool.
both of those now.
I do not like that.
So, but also what you see when you arrive is that the pirates have indeed harpooned it.
Oh, no.
They have 3 different harpoons tethering it with enormous cables, and they're using their ship to drag it through the atmosphere, and it is struggling. You see its tentacles lashing out, but they can't reach past while it's being dragged. And you also see almost like clouds emanating out from it are thousands of other smaller creatures flying out and around from all of their different little pocket hiding places inside the Sky Roost's body.
Yeah, we have to. I guess we have to get to the ship and save those hostages. But really, I really want to just knock it into those tentacles.
I mean, that's not a bad plan, you know?
Yeah, but we can't do it if Sonny Boy's on board.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, we didn't agree to find his
name too.
remains.
Well, they may not technically know we've arrived just yet. So here's a thought.
Yeah.
So
I think you have a moment before they're going to realize.
So Trish has a thought. She's digging in her own memory banks from her knowledge of what they did in the family business. What we could do is we could swoop in, and if we got a few really good shots, we could destroy the housings that are connected to the harpoons that would disconnect the ship from the Sky Roost. And then as we continue to sweep in, we do a quick lock with the ship and board.
I'm good at that.
That will disorient the occupant. They won't know what they'll be trying to figure out what's happened. And
One technical note. I guess Chad is saying that the images are not showing on the stream.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, if you're showing that map, unless that's not coming from the Roll20 screen, I would think if you move the handout in front of that part.
Yeah, it's covered up the map on my end. I don't know why they're not seeing it. So don't worry, I'll keep poking at it, Christiana, and see if I can figure it out.
All right. So in any case,
just a thought. So just putting it out there, because we should discuss this and figure out what we want to do, since this is the pivotal moment here.
So on the bright side, they can't maneuver very well because they're tethered to the Sky Roost.
and they are having to expend a fair amount of engine power to keep pulling it because it's not cooperating, as you might imagine. This is a powerful ship, but it's trying to drag something the size of a skyscraper that is not helpful. You know, it's not helping.
Well-placed hit could cripple at least one of its engines, too.
Yeah, if we're fast, they'll be surprised. And even once they know we're here, they've got two things to deal with, to pay attention to. I mean, I think it's worth the risk.
Go in bold.
And what Pedro thinks doesn't matter. I'm not sure Pedro would be too keen on it, but...
I think Pedro is saying, pyralisk eggs. I mean, I think what you're seeing, I actually want to suggest, as you're looking at this Skyroost being towed, you do see out on like one of the midpoint ridges, It looks like you see like a flare, like someone would have like put down a road flare or something. You see what looks like a road flare sitting there.
Interesting.
Also, I'm going to add a new progress bar that just represents dealing with the pirate ship, and so that does not necessarily mean fighting it until it blows up. It means dealing with the situation of the pirate ship, however that resolves.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're not equipped for battle. I mean, if we use ship-to-ship weapons, it's mainly just to incapacitate the vessel to let us do what we want. I mean, we still win if we can somehow rescue Quinn, sever it from the Sky Roost, and even if we leave it as a crippled vessel, we've still won. We get away.
For the record, the dealing with the drift pirates is a formidable progress bar, which means marking progress only fills up one box.
I mean, much as saving the Sky Roost would be a significant achievement, it's risky. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we're equipped for it.
Yeah.
It has to be our primary goal.
Yeah, that is what we were hired to do.
Yeah, but I think that if we can just get the Sky Roost unlatched, it will help us deal with that pirate ship.
Yeah,
I mean, they've had to survive in dangerous
Although,
reaches of space.
You suspect it would help by trying to smash the crap out of it with its tentacles.
Yes.
So maybe we grab Quinn first, and then
Yes.
just launch the Sky Roost and
get the kid out first.
yeah, get the hell out of here. Do we want to?
Yeah.
Okay, do we want to rescue that flare first, maybe?
Yeah, that might be a good idea. They may have left Quinn on the Sky Roost.
Maybe.
What?
I could see that. I mean, we know the spacesuits have been taken out, so we know that at least 3 people. So, yeah, I think we need to check out the Sky Roost. But would it maybe, Parker, does your exo have like thrusters on it?
It does not. No, not yet. I keep planning to get some on there, but I also keep planning on having money, and that never actually happens either. So.
You know, that's funny just because I was about to say, sure it does.
Oh, wait a second.
That would be too easy.
Well, you just updated it.
I mean, I would say like you are the owner of it. I would, bear in mind part of the way this game works is that it's not a matter of things always just like saying your abilities are very carefully prescripted and you can only do certain things, right? So I would say, however we want to justify it in the fiction, there's going to potentially be moves for things. So
Okay. I was basing that answer off of the exosuit having thrusters being the second power for the asset. So.
Okay. Does it actually say that?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Okay. Well, no. Thanks for pointing that out because I hadn't read it that carefully. So, yeah. All right. So, but what you could still theoretically do, you could be like on a tether or something.
Yeah.
Although one of the things that I want to point out, just for everyone to kind of understand what's happening here, is bear in mind that even though you're flying through clouds, you are within the gravity well of a gas giant, which is real big.
Yep.
And technically, you are experiencing about 2.5 G right now. Which is like, wouldn't be fun, but like a person could walk around in that if they're careful.
So. I have a bad idea. So the suit doesn't have thrusters, but I can still float a person-sized object through space.
You do have certain abilities granted to you by your augmentation.
So I could take a tether and go out try to fling myself out to the
Well,
giant
bear in mind
mushroom?
too, if you're willing to emerge from the clouds that are keeping you hidden right now, you could fly your ship closer, although it's also possible that the Sky Roost might not realize you're being helpful. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Lots of challenges right here. You
Well,
know,
I'm confident in your abilities, Parker. You know,
Well, that makes one of us. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, if we can get closer, we might be able to get them off there. But depending on, so we need to know what's actually on the Sky Roost, what we're actually dealing with. So I guess we could aim sensors at the Sky Roost and get a better picture.
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
do that. And
Try to-
actually, we did establish that there's a possibility that there were some transponders or signals on the spacesuits. We mentioned that earlier on when we were on the
Mhm.
Terrapin.
Yep.
So there's a chance that whoever's wearing one of those would have activated them. Actually, no, probably protocols being what they are, as soon as you put on the suit, the transponder probably automatically kicks in as a safety precaution so you can be located if you're floating in space. I would assume that's probably a reasonable safeguard on any sort of space suit. So chances are then the transponders in those suits are all still active. So yeah, we could try to hone in on some kind of signal. So why don't we?
that.
All right.
All right.
So.
So I think you have a couple of options here. Right now, I've established that you're kind of still hiding in some cloud. The pirates don't seem to know you're here. If you're just scanning from where you are, you might not be able to see or determine quite as much. But if you move out, you're going to be seen by the pirates. So bear in mind, the first thing that you do that gets you seen by the pirates is going to shift circumstances somewhat. But just letting you know. You gonna try to scan for their spacesuits?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it a go, hidden.
All right. So that sounds like a gather information to me.
Hey. Well, if no one wants, I can do that if people want.
Please do.
All right.
Okay, so it looks like you rolled a weak hit, but could burn momentum to make it a strong hit.
I am going to burn my momentum for that.
All right. And so on a strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or action you must take to make progress is made clear. Envision what you'd learned and then take +2 momentum. And what you discover is that the pirates probably thought it was really funny to try to maroon their hostages on the Sky Roost. You detect all 3 of those spacesuits there on this one of the Sky Roost's weird little internal cavities.
Okay, just as we thought. All right.
You also take +2 momentum. You would have burned it, so you would go down to 2, but then you can take another 2 and go back to 4.
Thank you. All right. Wow. So Trish relays that information just as I thought. Typical bloody pirate behavior.
Pirates are dicks, Trish.
They absolutely are. Present company accepted. That being said, though they're safe for the moment being on the Sky Roost, we have to.
I would say you do not know that. You know that their spacesuits are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pirates have a very different definition of safe, apparently.
That's true, yeah.
Because bear in mind, the place that you are detecting those spacesuits currently looks like a cloud of swarming things coming out of this thing.
Like someone kicked an anthill?
Yeah. And they're dragging the anthill along the ground with a string.
Yeah, that's not great. I'm thinking we go and hopefully they're there, scoop them, and then boogie.
But we go in, we scoop them, and if we have an opportunity, maybe we can use our shipborne systems and fire a few shots at the vessel to sever the harpoons and then get the hell out of here.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So as established, we have a formidable progress track that is going to represent solving all these problems. So your various things that you're going to try in order to make all of this in effect are potentially going to mark progress on this. But part of what we're doing here is that once you have sort of made yourself known, we're going to be in combat. And so we have a slightly different set of rules once we're in combat. Instead of secure an advantage and face danger, we're dealing with gain ground, react under fire, etc. And we deal with the idea that each of you individually at any given moment is going to either be in control or in a bad spot, which just determines which moves you can make. But with that said, are you prepared to enter the fray?
I think we are.
I do it.
All right. So what that means is that each of you now is going to do your own enter the fray move. And you should do it based on the stat that it seems appropriate, based on what you individually are doing, not what the ship or the team is doing, but what is your character doing. So if you are on the move, roll plus edge, facing off, roll plus heart, in the thick of it at close quarters would be iron, preparing to act against an unaware foe, shadow, caught in a trap or sizing up the situation, wits.
Yeah, Una's definitely sizing up the situation, and by that, she's mainly concerned with the swarm, and keeping an eye out for threats to the ship that perhaps can be diverted with, I don't know, maybe by launching something really hot can distract them like a lure. So anyway, that's her primary objective here. So I guess roll wit.
Yep, go ahead and do enter the fray with wits.
Enter the fray. What? Sorry, which one said under again?
Under combat.
Combat
moves.
Action. Yeah. There it is. Sorry. See it.
Everyone else is going to need to make this move as well. So go ahead and decide on what you're doing. So that's all right. You got a miss. Yep. So what that means is, all that means is as the fight begins, you are in a bad spot.
Right.
And that just dictates which moves you can do. But go ahead and everyone else do your own enter the fray moves.
Yeah, I'm thinking my enter the fray would just be getting us to where those transponders are.
Yeah, on the move sounds like to me.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Parker, would you be either preparing to act against an unaware foe, perhaps? Because you're not in close quarters yet, so you wouldn't be able to use iron yet.
Right. Yeah. I suspect that would be more accurate.
Yeah. Or you could do edge, like whatever you think is appropriate for what your character is doing.
What's
all right.
unaware foe again?
Unaware foe is shadow.
Okay.
But on the move is edge. Or sizing up the situation would be wits.
I will actually go ahead and size up the situation.
All right. So it looks like Corin is also starting off in a bad spot.
Yeah, this is great. Confidence totally not shaken. Everything's fine.
Okay, look. All right, Parker also in a bad spot.
No, you're right. We burned all our DAT-20s. We're so unprepared.
Oh no.
Trish, are you going to help shoot the moon?
Yeah, I'm going to. Well, Trish, again, being a gambler, is going to actively size up the situation. We've got a pirate vessel. We've got an alien of unknown antiquity in 3 suits which may or may not contain the living hostages. Yeah. So this is a very delicate situation. So she is going to try.
Now, bear in mind, I think you have like infiltration stuff that might give you a bonus, right?
Oh yes, that's right. Thank you for that. Let me just look here. Didn't break into a secure site, infiltrate a protected area, or hack to manipulate secure. Add 1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. Yeah. Okay. I would think. Thanks for that. So I think that might apply in this case.
Yeah. Well, I would say it applies if you're using shadow.
Okay, then I will say I'm going to use shadow.
All right.
I'm going to add my +1 there. And if I hit, I get a +1 momentum.
All right. So on a weak hit, you are choosing either take +2 momentum or you are in control.
I'm going to be in control for this
Okay.
one.
So you're in control and you get 1 momentum from your infiltrator bonus.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So what I think the way that we will reflect 3 out of the 4 of you being in a bad spot is that as soon as you emerge from this cloud, ready to swoop in there, you are just immediately bombarded with gunfire from the pirate ship. Like they just, as soon as you're in view, so you are taking fire. Who is doing something about that?
I'm go okay. Corin is obviously probably frozen by the sudden barrage of fire. Trish is going to say, typical tactics, just do this. They just tell him what maneuvers to do.
Perfect.
Okay. So this sounds like it could be an aid your ally for this.
Yes.
So for example, what you could do is, in this case, because we're in combat, you do the gain ground move.
Okay, we're going to try to gain ground here.
And so if you are coordinating a plan, studying a situation, or cleverly gaining leverage, that's a wits roll.
Yes, this would definitely be using wits, because this is knowing what the pirates' tactics are and the typical activities.
Right. Okay, so it's a weak hit, which means that you are choosing one of the following to either just do or to give to Corin. And the options here are mark progress on the progress bar, take +2 momentum, or add 1 to the next move.
What do you guys want to do here? I think this is a group decision.
Well,
Adding progress is a good thing.
Yeah,
right?
I'm thinking.
it definitely is. Like that's what ultimately gets you out of the situation.
I think we got it. We got to go with it.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
progress.
So we are marking 1 full box on the progress bar, as you have come up with. I think perhaps this reflects you understanding a little bit about how the pattern of fire works, so that you can kind of have a little bit of a, an understanding of like they're going to need to reload now. Now that we've got this 1 burst of fire, so we maybe have some benefit, but I think we do still have to deal with this incoming burst of fire. So unless someone has some other plan, it sounds like Corin probably has to make a react under fire.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly that to get us out of here. Which conveniently, being an ace, I get +1.
All right.
When I specifically to guide your vehicle through a hazard or out of harm's way. So.
So you are in a bad spot. So you're doing react under fire, and that's plus edge for in pursuit, fleeing, dodging, getting back into position, or taking cover.
Perfect. Modifier is 1.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, there we go.
Wait, no, hang on. So that was a face danger. Looks like.
Oh,
Although,
sorry.
Yeah. So that's
React
okay.
under fire.
That's okay. We can leave those numbers. That's fine. React under fire is a slightly different move. We'll just use the number. The rolls would be the same.
Okay.
So, but react under fire is what we do when we're in combat instead of.
So I meant to react under fire. Click the
Yeah,
wrong
that's
thing.
fine. So what that means though is on a strong hit, you succeed and are in control. Take +1 momentum. So you manage to, with sudden instinctive skill, your ace pilot skills allow you to evade the incoming fire, and you now you were briefly startled by the speed from their response, but you have now kind of regained control. So who else is doing something to help with this situation?
I would like to return fire.
Okay. Yeah. So in this context, that is going to be, it could be a couple of things. If you're returning fire to try to basically just straight up damage their ship, because you are starting off in a bad spot, you have to use the clash move.
Okay. What if I'm basically like just trying to like throw them off, right? I'm
Right.
trying to make it
like
easier.
covering
Like,
fire, suppressing fire,
exactly.
then that would be gain ground instead.
Then I will attempt to gain ground.
Okay. So in that case, then, excuse me. I'm sorry. You can't because your gain ground is only if you're in control. So react under fire would still be the same.
Then I will attempt to react under fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that is with.
So in your context, if you're using your guns to do that, that's going to be edge.
Edge. Okay. Unless,
of course, you want it to somehow be like you're just tanking the gunfire and somehow making it seem super, like, so describe in the fiction how you're handling it. But if what you described is that you're doing suppressing fire from your weapons, that sounds like edge to me.
I am doing suppressing fire from my weapons.
All right.
So.
Okay. Unfortunately, yeah. So I think react under fire, it's a miss with a match. So the situation worsens. You stay in a bad spot and must pay the price. And it's with a match. So I think what's going to happen here is you were firing out the cargo doors, right?
Yeah.
I think with the sudden evasive maneuvers that Corin was making.
Oh no.
Whoops. You are not yet falling. However, you are now hanging.
Oh no.
So you're now hanging from the lip. You have caught yourself, but you are in imminent danger of falling into the glass giant, which sounds like a bad time.
I hate planets so much.
The worst. Okay, so what are Trish and Una doing?
Una attempt to help Parker because I was gonna actually have my character go over and like try to convince Parker to fire at the harpoons. Because they're not shielded presumably, and they'd be an easy target, and not just because she really wants that space whale to be freed, but now seeing Parker like in somewhat of a distressful situation, she can try to grab a tether and maybe like
so I think because you're also in a bad spot, you're still making the react under fire move. But what we can say is that you're looking for some way anyway to try to help get Parker back into feet on deck, so to speak.
A magnet, anything. All right.
Yeah. So reacting under fire in this context sounds like it's probably wits. Changing the plan, finding a way out, cleverly bypassing an obstacle.
No, like auto fails. Although that would be funny if like Una tumbled out and was like holding on to the legs of the exit.
If you get a miss, that's
Darcie, why would you say that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how is that not the obvious result? Right? But you got a strong hit. You succeed and are in control. Take +1 momentum. So now you're in control. So for your next move, you can do the in control moves. But I think Parker, I want to suggest that what's happening here is your claws have got the deck, but just barely. It's not quite. You didn't quite get enough of a ridge, and it's sliding off, and the gravity here is so high, and you are looking at the prospect of falling for hours until the pressure crushes you. But then all of a sudden, just as they slip off, you're caught, and you realize that Una has attached a winch tether to the top of Happy, and is yeah. So I think you're not back in the cargo bay, but you are protected from falling now.
Works for me.
All right. What's Trish doing?
Okay. Parker's already tried to use the weapon systems. And so that option isn't on the table.
Yeah. You do have your tech stuff. You could potentially be trying to do like hacking things.
Yes, actually, thank you for that. That's a good idea. So what I will do then, I'm just going to read up on my tech again very briefly here. Yes, I can disrupt or hack into an electronic system. So then what I'm going to do is I am going to try to hack into the pirate system.
All right. That will be a gain ground move.
Right.
And I believe you have just like you have a weird like press your luck thing on that one, I think. But what you're going to be doing is the game ground move. I think it sounds like it would be. I could see it being shadow or wits in this context. But you get a +1 to it either way.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, hiding, preparing an ambush, coordinating a plan, studying, gaining leverage. Yeah, I would argue, if you agree, that it might be wits in this case.
Yeah, I think that probably makes the most sense from it's a technical standpoint.
Okay, so we're going to use that, and we're going to add a +1, and let's see if I can screw up their system.
Mm-hmm. Okay, unfortunately though, you got a miss, and so that means you can't even press your luck on it with as that asset gives. So on a miss, your foe gains the upper hand. The fight moves to a new location, or you encounter a new peril. You are in a bad spot and must pay the price. So I think what happens here is you attempt to start hacking into the system, hoping that the previous codes that you had known from, like, are they still using the same programs, same security apps? But I think as you attempt to hack into the system, you find yourself locked out. And then over on the radio is saying, "Hey, is that Trish Skarsgård?" So no mechanical complication right now, except that the pirates have realized that you're there, and so that might. Oh well, here's the other thing. Don't forget that your fugitive thing, you can up to a certain number of times just choose to change your result to a strong hit, but if you do that enough times, your clock fills, and someone is here to get you.
You know what? In a situation like this, I think I will thank you for that reminder. I will use that.
All right. So in this context, I think you realize perhaps just as they say that you suddenly realize, wait, surely they're not literally using the old same password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're in. So they are working to get you locked back out, but we are changing it to a strong hit, which means you stay in control, and you get to choose 2 between mark progress, take +2 momentum, or add a +1 on your next move.
Okay, guys, shall we add another progress?
Yeah, I think we had progress basically wherever we can right now.
Yeah.
More progress. Right.
That puts it up to 2 out of 10 there. As you've got their systems, you're starting. What sort of things are you doing while you've got access to their system while they're working to lock you back out?
Well, as they're trying to lock, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be changing all of their screensavers on their workstations to guard characters. I'm going to be spontaneously rename all of their files so they can't find anything. It changes the language of all the interfaces, to something else. Inverts everything, changes everything, and also, buttons don't. When you try to click on a button, the menu moves around, so you can't click on anything. So all these jerk moves.
Nice.
And it'll just.
You didn't say the magic word.
Yes.
So all right, great. So what are you up to, Corinne? Because I believe we left you back in control.
Yeah. So I don't, even though I've been rolling like crap. How close?
Well, not your last roll was a strong hit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So how close are we to the transponder for the suits?
Well, so I think right now you are not close, but you could use your action this time to fly in and get closer.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I want to get as close as possible.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think that's going to be a game ground move here, and probably with edge under the circumstances.
Yeah, sounds good. And this isn't. Can it count as? Would you consider it as against a foe because of the presence of these pirates?
I would say not. So here it wouldn't be the pirates, but
Okay.
you are also flying into like a swarm of angry gas giant animals.
True.
So is that you're
That's an
looking for
ace
your
thing,
ace?
yeah, if
Yeah,
I'm- yeah, I
yeah.
cannot
So
plus
no,
one.
I would say that it is a sufficiently hazardous
Cool.
scenario that that would come into play for sure.
All right, let's see if this works.
Okay, unfortunately, that
Okay.
is a miss.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I think what happens here is that you are flying in, and you're starting to move into the cloud of all of these weird little creatures that are flying, and a whole bunch of them seem like they're combination bats and suckerfish,
Oh,
and
God.
all of a sudden your front windscreen is just covered with all sorts of little like sucker mouths going, and you can't see.
I'm not hitting any Una. I swear, I haven't hit a single one. Everything's
Yeah,
fine.
no, they are all going flop and splatting themselves onto,
Oh,
not
God.
squishing, but like adhering, like
Yeah.
sticking themselves.
That's great.
So yeah, I think that means that you are in a bad spot and must pay the price. So how do we think that comes into play here? I mean, we could do another integrity ship. You know what I think makes the most sense here, honestly?
Yeah, I'm hitting a bunch of stuff, so I think the integrity.
Well, no, what I was actually going to say, I think
Oh.
what makes the most sense here is that not that these little things are damaging the ship, but that it is delaying you enough. We're going to advance the attention clock a little
Yeah,
bit.
that makes sense.
We're now at 3 of 6.
I don't like it. That's not great.
Yeah, better start rolling better.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Parker,
Good advice.
you are saved from falling by this tether. The ship has swung over pretty close to this sky roost thing, but you are also still in a bad spot. So I would say that as you are hanging out the cargo bay, I think that you are actually like you are in a place where you could potentially try to climb back up in, or you could potentially, while on this winch tether,
Jump over to the Sky Roost.
yeah.
I think that is what I'm going to try.
You are still in a bad spot, which means you're reacting under fire. I think the under fire in this circumstance is, oh God, what are all these things?
All right. Yeah.
Also, the fact that you, as Voidborn, are now talking about jumping over miles and miles and miles of nothing in a heavy gravity well to land hard on an alien monster.
Yeah.
Must be another Tuesday, really.
So I think though that because that would actually entail a fair amount of like strength, I think an iron makes sense there.
Okay. Then that is what I will do. All right.
Okay, and that's a strong hit. Good job. All right, so all right, so with a strong hit on react under fire there, you succeed and you are in control. So take +1 momentum, and I think you have swung yourself out and you have landed on a very strange, squishy surface surrounded by swarms of all sorts of things. But I think just in the distance through this cloud of flapping weird, all like there's like pollen spores and little bat monsters and all sorts of things all over the place. Some of them look like fish, some of them look like snakes, some of them look like flowers. But you see just in the distance through this cloud of creatures is you see the flare.
All right. As soon as I can, I will start to make my way over there. But
All right,
through the
Una.
cloud of biomass.
Yeah. Una, I believe we ended with you last in control,
Yes.
which means that gain ground is available to you. Also, if you were to try to do something to, if you were doing something that would like harm the pirates or potentially try to start like dealing with those tethers, you could potentially do strike is a move that you can do. It has to be either iron or edge, but potentially on a strong hit, you could mark progress twice.
Well, Tether the
or gain
tethers.
ground. Gain ground also can mark progress, and it wouldn't be, that could be anything you want, right? I
Yeah,
think
who knows?
strike would have to probably be something like you get on the guns and you're trying to shoot the tethers or something like that.
Oh yeah, she's doing that. Like
Oh,
she
you
was,
want to do that? Okay.
that had been her intention. She was going to try to get Parker to do all like the aiming and shooting and that stuff. Unfortunately, Parker is now on the giant roost. So
Right.
which is super cool.
Yeah.
She wishes that she could do two things at once with her symbiote and like ask Parker what they're seeing down there and also be shooting at the tethers. But for now, let's just shoot.
Yeah. Also, I think as you go and you sit in this little gun turret that you've got on the platypus here, and you're preparing to actually fire these weapons, I think that you feel Pedro kind of go, yes, and start controlling your hands a little bit. And so what that means is that you can add Pedro's health to your roll when you're making an aggressive move.
Let's do it. You know what, Pedro?
Giving yourself to the
all you
symbiote's
now.
power. Yeah.
All right,
So Pedro's health should still be 2, right?
Right.
And so when you're going to roll the strike move with edge and add 2.
Okay. All right. Moves. Whoop. Suffer moves. Threshold limit. No. Combat. All right. Strike. Edge. +2.
Yep.
Please hit.
Hell yeah, there you go. It's a strong hit and only just barely because you had an 8 on one of the challenge dice, but you got a 9 for your action score. So
Pedro!
yeah, on a strong hit, you mark progress twice. You dominate your foe and stay in control. So we are marking 2 boxes, and I think that you have successfully shot out one of the harpoon tethers. And as you see that one suddenly snaps, all of a sudden, because it's only 2 now instead of 3, you can see that the ship is like much more unstable in its attempt to keep towing the you see it's being jostled by the wind a lot more. Seems like it's probably a lot less fun for the pilot there, to the extent that you think they were having fun before. Maybe they were, you don't know their life. But that was great job. So I think now what about how's Trish doing with her hacking attempts? Is she continuing that process, or
I just had a funny idea, Geoff, if you want it.
What's that? Go ahead.
Is it in your hacking ability? Like, can you blast some, like, I don't know, really irritating 80s music or something into the pilot's ear? Keep that guy distracted. Is that within your capabilities? Because that would distract the hell out of me.
Oh, totally. I mean, the hacking is very loosely defined. So it could be. I mean, I could get the ship sound systems. I could do anything. So I could totally do that.
Just an idea.
Well, you can try. You're making your roll again, right?
Yeah. I'll give it a shot. I mean, we've got absolutely nothing to do.
Yeah. So so you had a you had a hit last time, right? So
good.
It was a weak hit. You stay in control, I think was where you were at. Yeah.
Still
all right.
So this is another gain ground.
Sounds like it to me.
Okie dokie. So, and this is definitely...
Yeah, you still have your hacking benefit for your tech asset.
Okay, and +1. All right, let's see if we can give them the most horrible elevator music imaginable.
Nice.
All right, there you go. That's a strong hit. So that means that you stay in control. We're marking progress again, so you're now at 5 out of 10. And you get to choose 2 of these 3. So we marked progress by given. So you also get to choose between take +2 momentum or give a +1 to somebody on your next move or somebody else's.
I'll give a +1 to someone's next move.
Okay. So it'll probably be Corinne is the next one making a move, but you don't have to use it. I think we would have to since Corinne is like, hey, can you keep them distracted or something like that? Maybe it makes sense that you're helping there.
Yeah.
So how about this? That extra one of help is that the sucker bats don't like the music either.
Oh, excellent! I can see.
Well, we'll
it.
see if it makes a difference. But
It may not.
you get your
I
plus one.
probably
Well, what is it
won't.
that you're trying to do here? Because I think we ended up you're in a bad spot, so you might need to react under fire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because that's a good question. I'm not sure. Can I? Because Parker's going after the hostages.
Mm-hmm.
Can I try to maneuver the ship into a better position for Una to take out that next harpoon?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still going to be the react under fire
Yeah,
move.
yeah, but just
But
to kind of
but
first
yeah,
fix
that's
them
what
first.
you're doing is you're trying to get her into position there. And you're having to do so with the understanding that you've also got Parker on a tether.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well,
that's
but
fair.
you know, you're working on it. That's
Well,
just
yeah.
the challenge that
That's-
you're facing. So
What we do.
let's
What we
see.
do.
Come on, Ace.
All right, got this. React under fire. And it is any edge. You said, I guess, still.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you're piloting your ship.
Okay.
In pursuit, fleeing, dodging, getting back into position, taking cover.
Perfect. Come on.
All right, there you go. Strong hit. Nice. So you succeed and you are in control. Take +1 momentum.
Okay.
You're back in control. All right, great. Parker.
All right, I am going to charge forward and attempt to get to the hostages.
Nice. I think that is going to be gain ground, and it sounds like iron to me.
All right.
Gaining leverage with force, powering through, or making a threat. All right, nice. Strong hit. So you stay in control. You can choose two between mark progress, take +2 momentum, or a +1 on the next move. Sounds like you probably want progress again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're now at 6 out of 10 on that progress bar. You can also choose between take +2 momentum or +1 to a next move.
I will. I pass that. I'm trying to think of the fiction for how that would work, but I prefer
you
to
can
pass
hold
that
it.
along.
You can hold. Well, you can hold on to it for your next move.
Oh,
also,
well then I will
right?
hold on to it for trying to exfiltrate these people.
Yeah. All right. Great. So I think what happens then is that you force your way through this cloud of stuff, and you're in what's almost like a cave. And I have another piece of artwork to show you. This is called Inside the Sky Roost. And in this particular piece of artwork, it is currently more busy and occupied than this lonely looking picture might suggest. But you see that it is almost like a cavern, an organic cavern with all sorts of weird little egg things all over the place. But you also see, kind of huddled in a little sort of pocket, trying to get away from all of these crazy flying animals, you see 3 individuals in rather beat up looking spacesuits who look up at you in happy with expressions suggesting this was not what they expected to see. You're tromping in at 2.5 times gravity, but with your powered suit just
just plowing through as
and then
many
this
like,
armored
animals.
suit looming out of this crowd of flying animals with a big happy face.
over the loudspeaker. Come with me.
If you want to live.
I was tempted, but no.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry for jumping on it then. So, okay. Una.
Una says to Pedro, 1 down, 2 to go, buddy.
Yeah.
All
Let's try it
right.
again. So you got hit last time, so it is you're still in control. You can do strike again.
All right. Do I still get the 2 health?
Yeah, because basically it's the same situation.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my sheet's frozen. Why are you like this? All right, I got it again. I don't know why it wasn't moving. All right, character sheet. Strike. Edge. +2. Please hit.
All right.
Weak
It's
hit.
it's a weak hit, which for strike on a weak hit, you still mark progress twice, but you expose yourself to danger and you're in a bad spot. So you have still marked progress twice, which means that you guys are now at 8 out of 10. So when you are ready, the move is take decisive action. You have to be in control to do it, but when you do it, you are rolling progress rather than any of your other move. But the idea is if you get the hit you're looking for on that, you've done it. So I'm just mentioning that because you are potentially within range of deciding it might be worth it to do that. But you are now in a bad spot. I think what happens is that they have you have severed a second of the 3 tethers, but they have also from their ship realized what you're doing. And they have started to fire on the ship, specifically on the gun turret area. So you're in a bad spot. You're going to have to react under fire from that. But we are next. Trish next, right? Yeah.
I have an idea. So Trish is emboldened by her last cyber attack against the Reckoning. Because she's messing around with their systems and they haven't shut her out yet, and she's aware of the shots being fired. The pirates are a little distracted right now. Could she try to press her luck, if at all possible, to do a system shutdown on the vessel, an override, even for a few minutes?
Well, yeah. So, I think we're going to be doing the same move, but that makes perfect sense. Well, okay. Here's the question. We could have it either be the same move you've been doing to just get more progress on the progress bar, or you were in control, right? After the last time. Yeah. So you can do decisive action if you want.
Do we want to do this, guys?
We're at 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 is pretty good. I'd be willing to risk it.
Yeah.
The idea would be if you got a miss, it would mean the situation gets more complex and more difficult in some way.
All right.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, famous last words. All right.
Yeah.
So are we agreed, guys? We're gonna try and take decisive action here.
Let's do it.
All right. Here we go.
Okay. So in this context, has nothing to do with any of your moves, right? So there's no bonuses or anything to it. But I will make the roll here on your progress bar.
Okay.
All right. And strong hit. On a strong hit, you prevail. You take +1 momentum. There are some objectives that remain, but what happens, I think, is that with your hacking, you manage to do that total system override. And as all of you watch, their engine cuts out, and all of a sudden, the Sky Roost is in control again now. As they drift back towards it, you see one of its enormous tentacles reach up, wrap itself around 3 or 4 times, and then just crush this thing. And you have dispatched the drift pirates. However, it's got more tentacles, and there's still a ship kind of getting all of its little critters riled up. And you still need to get out of here. But the pirates have been dealt with. So goodbye, Captain Luxbridger and the Dead Reckoning. But hey, Parker. Well, I guess Corin was next before in the sequence we were doing. I guess So what I'll say is we don't have to be in a specific order.
Right. Yeah.
I've been doing that to just kind of try to make sure everyone's getting to go, but you all can kind of decide if it makes more sense to do it in a different order.
Yeah, I think Corin's my only move is to maybe get the ship closer to where Parker is. So Parker,
especially since the trajectory is different, it's not being towed in a specific direction anymore. The Sky Roost is behaving more erratically. It's moving around and swinging, and it's not being pulled. Yeah. So trying to stay in position so that Parker isn't just suddenly dragged away from.
Yeah, but Parker, if you want to go first, I'm cool with that.
No, it'd probably be good to have the ship in a better position for trying to.
Well, or alternately though, you could try to grab them before you might get accidentally dragged away, but up to you.
Oh well, grabbing them was the first thing on
Well,
my agenda. So
yeah. So if you want to, so I'm leaving it to you guys. You can decide.
all right. Well, then I guess I will go ahead and try to grab all of them.
Okay. I think in this context, this is still we're kind of out of that original combat, so we're not using the combat moves anymore. But
Okay.
this is going to be it's probably face danger, or secure an advantage. It could be secure an advantage to try to like clip them to you or something like that. What do you think? Like, what is your approach here? What is it that you're trying to do?
Um, yeah, if any of them, like, if I can get any of them to like clip their harnesses onto like secure points on the armor, then that would probably be the go-to because this is going to be a bumpy ride.
Okay. How about this? I'm going to I think they are terrified and alarmed and not sure what's happening. Everything's very scary. What I'm going to suggest is that you are trying to do a compel
Okay.
to try to get them to clip themselves to you.
Do I get points for having a smiley face? Because that's
Well,
welcoming.
it depends because what I was just going to say is if you're doing the compel move, you can choose to either charm, pacify, encourage, or barter and roll plus heart, or you can threaten or incite and roll iron. So how does Parker try to get these guys to go ahead and clip themselves to you promptly?
Clip yourself to hard points immediately, or else I will weld your asses to the armor.
That sounds like iron to me. So go ahead and roll compel with iron.
Okay.
All right. That is a strong hit. They say, yes, ma'am. And they are clipped to you. All right. So that back to well, so I guess it could be Una or Corin.
Yeah, I'll just yell out, "Hit the winch!"
Oh yeah, Una, do you want to run and do that, and then I'll finish it?
She hits that winch.
Yeah, so I would say that's going to be a face danger move.
All right.
Probably wits. That makes the most sense. Or edge if you wanted to do it fast. Like
Face danger.
I would allow you to do either edge or wits, I think.
Okay, I'm going wits because it's the highest.
Yeah. Yeah, your wits in that case was realizing, oh wait, I can control that from here. I don't have to run down to the cargo bay. But it's still only a weak hit, which means you succeed, but not without cost. I'm going to rule that actually as you before the pirate ship got blown up. There was a one shot that kind of grazed the platform, and you're going to take a point of health harm. So take your health down to So first, one thing that you can do actually when you're taking health harm is you can basically have your symbiote take it for you.
For now, she's taking one because she appreciates all Pedro did to help fire that gunner. So it hurts a little, but it's not that bad. It could be worse.
Sure. So go ahead and if you had been like just totally exposed and took a fire around from that ship, that would have been way more than one. But it's one because it's essentially like it got through the ship armor to kind of zap you some. So I think that you're going to take one to get down to 4, and then you can do the endure harm move if you want.
Okay.
Where you would roll either plus health or plus iron. For you, it's definitely going to be health.
All right. Endure harm plus health.
Yeah.
see.
All
Strong
right.
hit.
So on a strong hit, it means you can choose to either shake off the injury and be back at full health, or embrace the pain and have +1 momentum instead.
She's shaking off that injury
right.
because it's not like pain.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So that means then that you that was the cost, but you had gotten you had a weak hit. So you still succeeded though by engaging the winch, and now Parker and the 3 hostages in their spacesuits are all being reeled up, but it's not fast because it's high gravity and it's an exosuit plus 3 guys. I mean, this is a cargo winch, but still, it's a lot to ask. It's coming up. It's not just like it's. What are you doing, Corin?
I'm going to try to maneuver the ship down so I can get right to them. We're not relying on this winch.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that they're hanging from the winch being pulled up at this point.
What if I flip the ship so they fall into our cargo?
That sounds really dangerous. I think what might make more sense is to just fly away from the Sky Roost with them hanging below you while they get pulled up.
Not really Corin style, but that makes sense. We'll do that.
If you want to do the dangerous, risky one, let's roll for it.
It's like one of that game where there's a ball in a cup and you try to like flip the ball into the cup.
Yeah, because this is high gravity. They're not floating. They are hanging straight down from the ship, right? That's true. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, given how my rolls have been going, we'll just fly away.
Also, I will just emphasize again for Parker that you are now just hanging by this one cable, looking down into just an infinity of clouds.
Yeah, there's just a continual high-pitched keening coming from Parker.
Yeah. So, and I think also now that a couple of the sucker bats have come off of the windscreen, I think that, Corin, you are seeing one of the Skyroo's tentacles start to sort of swirl around in your direction.
Yeah, that's not great. Yeah, okay, let's get out of here. So which move would that be, Christiana?
I would think that's going to be face danger, unless you wanted it to be more like a secure an advantage instead. But face danger sounds like what it is.
And this would be guiding us out of harm's way, yes?
Yeah, it seems like edge again.
Perfect.
And
so do that.
Your ace piloting skills.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's a strong hit.
Good stuff.
And so I think that you are successful. Take +1 momentum, and I think you watch as just as Parker is just about to get back into the cargo hold, and you're swooping away, trying to not do too much of a jerky motion, given that there's allies still hanging outside of the ship by a thin cable. But I think you're just watching in kind of horror as you're trying not to move too fast, but you're also watching this giant tentacle come your way, and it's just like just outside of reach, and you have now been able to withdraw from a safe distance, and now everybody is watching it through the open cargo doors as this Sky Roost sort of ruffles its big sort of mushroom cap jellyfish crown head. You see it's sort of shivering where the harpoons were, and then it starts to sort of just descend back to the layer of atmosphere that it likes. And I think the 3 rescued people, one of them looks at you and it says, "Corin?" Yeah, and it's Quinn, and I think so I think it's this is Cassidy's son. We don't hear you now, Brandon.
I'm glad one of you turned out to be you.
Me too. I guess I don't know what that means, but how are you here? What?
Let's just say that you're lucky that you have someone who cares about you.
I mean, thank you. I mean, you saved all our lives, and I mean, like, that was really scary, but I didn't want that thing to die either. I mean, what happened to the pirates?
They had technical difficulties.
There you go.
All right. Well, like I don't usually say I want to wish harm on anybody, but it sounds like they had it coming. So, can I go home now?
Yeah, I'm thinking we get the hell out of here.
All right. And so I think what we have to do here is you have your vow, right? And to be sure, this represents another milestone in your quest, right? So that's actually 6 out of 10. And see, this is one of the interesting things about this game is that in some ways, narratively, it seems like, well, it's a slam dunk now, right? But not according to our mechanic, right? So
Right.
you're at 6 out of 10. So what I would say is you could, for example, right now, try to fulfill your vow with 6 out of 10. Or we could say we have to do a few more moves to try to get, like, you have to get off of the planet and then get back to the place to try to get some more milestones before you try to fulfill that. But, you run the risk of having some, costs happen from some of those, right? So
That's true. Oh, that's a good question. My gut says we try to fulfill the vow, but that's just me.
Yeah,
yeah.
There you go
Yeah,
for it.
go for
let's
it.
do it.
All right.
Okay. So with this, then we're going to be doing the quest move, fulfill your vow. Once again, I will roll it for the progress move off of your shared sheet for 6 out of 10. Let's see what happens. Strong
What?
hit with
No.
a match. Strong hit with a match. So on a strong hit, your vow is fulfilled. And I think what this means is we have a montage of making your way back to Lagrange Station Delta. There's, he's telling the story of all of the things that he discovered on his way. You all get to mark a reward on your quest's legacy track by the vow's rank, which was dangerous. So you get to mark 2 ticks. You all get that. And because it was a strong hit with a match, I think that let's see, what could it be? Okay, I know what it should be. He as he's telling you the story of his time there, he says, like, it was really strange in that whole, like, inside that thing, but with all of those weird, like, eggs and creatures and everything that was in there, like, I mean, what I really didn't expect to find was this. And he holds up what clearly looks like some sort of an alien artifact, but what it looks like is a tiny model of the floating city you saw through the clouds.
Ooh.
City time.
Shit, yeah.
But first, you return to to Lagrange Station Delta with Quinn and his friends, and although certainly the harpoons and their ship are a loss, Cassidy offers to go ahead and fix the additional damage you did to your ship in the process, but she is so overjoyed to have her son back. Very glad that you were able to do so, saving the Sky Roost as well and making an additional cool discovery. And I think that is where we will leave our Space Forged adventurers for this game of Ironsworn Starforged.
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're an excellent GM, Christiana. That was
was
great.
Thank you.
Definitely.
That rocked. No, that was a
That was
lot of
pretty
fun, Christiana. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. It was a lot of fun for me too.
That was great.
Fantastic.
All right. Good job, team. Yeah. So with that, I know we're getting late for some of us here. So we'll do a little wrap up here. That was a blast. Thank you, Christiana, and my fellow players here for coming with us on this little journey. Like I said, our last game of the season. So we'll be back in a couple of months ish with some more games. So keep an eye on Greg's schedule here on our website. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to my newsletter, Mike's newsletter. All sorts of updates will be there. Before we break, though, if everyone can, I'll go around and folks can let the audience know where they can find you on the interwebs and your work and whatnot. I'll just go in the order I have on the screen. So I'll start with Emily.
Okay, so I don't have any work to promote today. However, you can find me at the Emily Dare on Twitter.
Perfect. Darcie.
Hello, I'm Darcie. And for social media, I mostly only do Instagram. Like I tried TikTok and it scares me, so I stopped. I did okay at it. It's just like I don't think I quite mastered it. But this is on Instagram. I just posted my engagement photos.
Ah,
nice.
There
congratulations.
at
Hi.
Dr. Little Badger. That's Dr. period Little Badger, all one word. I have a doctor in oceanography, not a person medical doctor, but
Well, it's funny because I was going to ask about your call sign. Is like, are you a real doctor?
no.
'Cause they call you Dr. Worm.
I don't. So I actually I wondered if anyone would remember that
Yeah.
old song.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that
Not
you
a
do.
real doctor, but I am an actual worm. Yeah, yeah.
That
Anyway.
that was a fun one.
Yeah.
Oh man. Geoff.
All right, thanks, Brandon. You can find me on Twitter at Geoff Gander, very imaginative, I know. And if you look me up on Drive-Thru RPG, if you look up my name there, you will find just about everything I've worked on as a first hit right there.
Perfect. And Christiana.
Hi, I'm Christiana. My Twitter is just at Christiana Ellis. I also have my own Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Christiana Ellis, where I run 2 games of my own there, where I have a long running homebrew D&D campaign that runs most Tuesday evenings, and then a Saturday campaign where we're currently running through the Spelljammer Academy adventure with a D&D group, but we also run a bunch of things on Saturdays. So we just finished recently doing a campaign of Root, the role-playing game, and did some of Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. So those are on Saturday evenings at my Twitch channel. I also wrote a couple of novels you could theoretically buy, I suppose, if you want. My website is christianaellis.com.
Yeah, go check out that work. And I think I saw the link to your Twitch dropped in the chat. So thanks for the chat. And I once again am Brandon Crilly. I think my Twitter is B_Crilly, I think. And all the information and about me that's the easiest place to find it. And yeah, we're gonna wrap. So again, Christiana, seriously, thank you again. This was a blast. Go check out Ironsworn Starforge. It's awesome. And that's it. So later, people.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Hi,
Thank you.
everyone.